A crossover is
crossover dribble.
Sing for the crossover.
Kyrie Irving, crossover in the lane. One of the most famous crossovers of all time. Behind the back, an ankle breaker on Chris Paul. The crossover continues to evolve.
Crossover is powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha, everlevelconcrete.com. Happy new Costco day to you guys.
A lot of buzz around town today, Nick.
It's
a lot of buzz.
It's not too far from your neck of the woods.
It's special day.
People are wondering about what will come of the 132nd and Dodge Costco. And, I'm wondering the same. But I think you'll see change over a period of time.
Hot take, the 120, 32nd, I don't even know exactly what you say.
The middle one.
The Dodge Street one.
Yes.
Hot take, it'll still be busy today.
Today, for sure.
Yeah, it's a Friday at a Costco. I don't care if there's a new one opening. It's still going to be busy.
Today, for sure. But if it, we look forward in about 2 or 3 months, maybe it becomes a nice, easier walk through that store. I'm telling you, man, I went did my shopping right after the Storm Chasers game on Tuesday. Wednesday. And I did it out at the La Vista Costco.
Yeah.
I could breathe.
Oh, is that one nice and wide open?
It's a little bit more wide open,
yeah.
But just the general demeanor of the person shopping in the store is just a little more calm.
Is this a Sarpy County versus Douglas County thing?
It might be. I have no idea why. It is a little bigger, and that obviously helps. So I'm curious to see what the 180th Costco will do to our other Costcos. It's like adding Jalen Gramstad. It's like it's not really about the new Costco, but it's about what it does to the other Costcos.
All right, I'll get a poll question.
Wouldn't you say the 180th and Maple is more like the addition of Dylan Rhule as opposed to?
That's kind of what I was like, because that's going to be the one that's always busy forever.
This is like the 5-star one, especially how that area is blowing up.
You think so?
And there's a lot of money out that way.
Oh, there's a lot going on Maple Street.
Yeah.
Joel last night sent me a video of a guy. He was going. If people are familiar with the intersection, he was going north on 168th Street across Maple, and there's like a huge Maple, for whatever reason, is like 3 feet elevated.
Yeah.
And so he ramped it up and then couldn't gain control as he went over Maple Street and then spun out and rammed into a pole.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's just one of the things going on in Maple Street.
Okay, then.
Maple Street is one of America's worst streets.
Well, we did have to deal with the rock that people could not avoid hitting the rock over by the Hy-Vee and now over by Crumble Cookie.
Yeah.
It's this more than anything. I'm curious what this Costco has got in store when it comes to samples today.
Oh, I'm sure they'll
gotta roll out some stuff.
Yeah. Steve writes in, this is good.
Hi, Steve.
On the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. My sister-in-law was in line this morning waiting to get into the new Costco and was texting my wife about the adventure. So I believe that
to get in.
We will have boots on the ground at new Costco this afternoon during the show. So we'll get some live reports potentially.
I know my wife really wants to go today. I said, and she even said, though, she got me off the hook on this one. She said, it's something I probably need to do on my own because you freak out during the Costco crowds, which I do. And this is going to be like on steroids of what
it's going to be huge.
Yeah. So
it's going to be huge.
I refuse to be in a bad, like overly anxious mood on a Friday, unless it's the day before college football. So yeah, I'm going to avoid it.
Happer's meme guy writes in, poll question, is a third Costco in Omaha comparable to additional QB room depth? I think we got the poll question up, right?
Yeah.
Is the new Costco like Nebraska adding Jalen Gramstad?
Yes.
We're going more specific with
I also did one, is the new Costco like adding Dylan Rhule?
Yeah, because I do. I feel like
which one gets better numbers?
We'll see.
I think this is a 5-star Costco.
Put them both up and compare them. The buzz is definitely out there because when I was driving in today, I was at the world famous intersection at 72nd and Dodge.
Oh, yeah.
Next to new big library.
Yeah. And it's coming together, folks.
And so the light is red, as it always is, heading east on Dodge Street.
You've never gotten a green on
in stride. I've never gone straight through at 72nd.
That's a beautiful thing in the morning.
At 5 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
This is nice.
But like you could tell it was going to change. People were kind of crowding up near the line.
Mm-hmm.
because the left turn lane was going already. And it was at that moment, a man in a white truck right next to me decided to get out of his vehicle and begin dancing.
Oh,
What?
Hello.
Whoa, talk about burying the lead.
He just started dancing for 15 to 20 seconds. And then as the light turned green, he got back in his truck and kept driving down Dodge. What do you think he was excited for? I think the new Costco.
Maybe the new Costco. He knew that he had a date a little bit later on at the new Costco.
I was wondering. So the guy's truck door opens up, and I'm like,
Uh-oh.
what's going on here?
I would immediately thought, uh-oh.
What's he gonna do? I wasn't concerned.
Okay.
But like, is he gonna start yelling at me? Is he gonna start yelling at somebody else? No, it was the exact opposite. He just begun to dance.
If you had to guess age of said driver, what would you say?
57.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Give me what that guy's having
He
right
just
there.
he was just doing a little. If you're watching us, Josh, do we have the studio cam up?
It is up, yes.
So he was just doing one of these. He just got out and just, you know,
got low?
to the ground,
He got low?
all the way down to the ground and back up a couple times,
Hell yeah.
and just kind of kept it moving.
Okay.
And yeah, he was feeling.
So he's
himself.
doing like the chubby checker shake.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Or twist it. He was twisting.
He was doing the twist.
The twist.
He was doing. Maybe he was older than we thought.
He might have been listening to the twist.
He was probably.
Let's do the
See,
twist.
That's what I was wondering after I thought about it a little bit more as I was driving past UNL. It's like, I should have rolled my window down and like,
Yeah, what
you
is
know,
he
giving him a
listening
thumbs up or like, what's he listen to
Yeah.
or something like that. Because I really appreciated what he was doing. I think he was just trying to infuse some good vibes into everybody's Friday.
The things you guys see on your way in,
Yeah.
Josh seeing an all-out brawl outside of a convenience
That's
store, a
right.
gas station. And
Yeah,
then
that's right.
You've seen somebody do the chubby checker twist right next to you while waiting for a green.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was awesome, man.
my commute's really boring. I don't see much.
It was quite the spectacle. I mean, we got to deal with a little bit more traffic
Yeah, that's
and
true,
things like
yeah.
that in the morning.
Yeah.
People were driving like total idiots.
Yeah.
But this guy, I had, you know, especially because I wasn't behind him, I had absolutely no complaints about his sudden urge to get outside of his car in the middle of Dodge Street and begin to dance.
Yeah, it's like the exact opposite of what you're probably going to experience at that time of day at that intersection.
Yeah.
Usually, if that's why I would have been a little bit more concerned that the door is opening and we've got like a falling down situation.
Yeah,
if
it was
anybody's seen the movie, you'd know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
There was mild concern for sure.
Yeah, I would have been a little concerned. But then you see that and you're like, come
Hell
on,
yeah,
this is going to
man.
be a great day.
Hell yeah. I do
Yeah.
wonder what he was listening to.
Me too.
Also last night, so I mean, we've had many experiences over the last few days here.
It's fantastic.
It's summer.
It is.
So last night, slow pitch softball, Thursday night, Kelly Fields, you know, getting after
You're
it a
still in the
little bit.
circuit?
Oh,
Postseason.
still in the circuit.
All right.
It's not postseason for us.
Oh, okay,
I don't know
sorry.
what they're doing down in Lincoln, but it's not postseason for us yet.
So are they in like this long seasonal tournament? Because I thought their season was over.
No, they controversially got the 1 seed in a bracket that was in
How the hell did that team get a 1 seed?
they split them off into different directions.
Oh,
I don't know if they
okay.
look at the RPI or whatever, but
Strength of schedule.
however it went. But last night, you know, there was a specific player on the opposing team.
By the way, I love softball stories. So if you have more of them,
Oh, I got a bunch.
I love them. I love them
I got a bunch
because
from
I haven't
this year.
played in about 5 or 6 years, and I'm constantly reminded why.
And so, you know, there was he was getting a little rowdy. I mean, he was
Yeah.
one of those guys who was running real hard.
Was he
and,
wearing pants?
he was not wearing pants.
Just checking.
He was wearing shorts
Okay.
and like a soccer jersey or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And you know, he was talking a little bit.
Mhm.
That's okay.
Mhm.
After the game ends. We win the second one. We lost the first one. We got drilled in the first one. Came back, won the second. What a show of resilience
Nice. That
by
is.
us.
That is good.
And guy, you know, he was waiting in the parking lot.
What?
Yeah, he wanted to go. He wanted to go with everybody.
What?
He wanted to fight.
You said soccer jersey, right?
Specifically,
So clearly a soccer hooligan.
he wanted to fight our very mild-mannered shortstop, who he called the B word
What?
or the P word several times throughout the evening's proceedings.
You got to cycle off the roids before you get to the park.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know if he was taking soft toss before the first game?
It didn't seem like he was really serious about the softball, but that he wanted to show that he was a superior athlete, I think, to everybody.
So he was alpha mailing up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, so he had a small penis.
Nice. He wanted to.
Was he a shorter man?
He wanted to go. He was a little shorter.
Okay. I think this is all coming together now.
Yeah. So,
all right. No, I really am interested in this. Was there a moment that could have set off these emotions from him?
I mean,
did somebody do or say or something happen? Did somebody send, what was he pitching and someone set one up the middle? Because I know that's frowned upon.
It definitely wasn't that. It wasn't like anything softball related.
Okay.
He just decided to go after, like I said, our very mild-mannered shortstop who never says anything to anybody.
Yeah.
And called him some words, and we were all sort of confused, like what's going on here? And then we got a guy or two on our team who get a little fired up.
I would hope so. There's got to be at least someone who is going to be a little more intense.
And so, there was some shouting on there's a kind of a road that leads to the fields, obviously inside the complex.
So you guys are the backfields then?
We're on the backfields.
Okay,
yes, the 1 through 4.
So you got the parking lot, then you funnel into all the fields, all 4 fields.
Correct. There, Correct. But he was on the road, that led to like the back concession stand there.
Oh yeah.
With the 4 fields. And there was some shouting going on, and then he went to the parking lot and was kind of just staring in and got on the phone. I think he was calling his boys or something like that.
I need to know if you got me on this.
Maybe he was faking on the phone. I took a lap around in my car. I'm like, is everybody okay here? What's going on? But yeah, the guy.
What kind of car?
The guy wanted to go. Just a regular car. Nothing. Nothing outstanding on that.
Did he have?
He didn't have truck lights.
Did he have a bat bag or anything?
No. Like I said, it didn't seem.
So he wasn't necessarily a hardcore softball guy.
No, I don't think he was a hardcore softball guy. I think he was just a hardcore dude.
Wow.
He just wanted to be the biggest dude there.
So I've never played slow pitch softball in a league or anything, and every now and then a Rhule will trickle out and hit me in the ears, and I go, what?
Yeah, can't go up the middle.
What are the rules of this game? I can't throw it up the middle. I can only hit so many home runs.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
That's right.
There's a cap on the scoring.
Well, and your own team sometimes will get pissed off at you if you waste one of those home runs on a solo job.
You can't take a solo.
Yeah, they're like, what the hell are you doing?
It's time and place. You got to have
actually be an out after a certain point.
It is an out.
Yeah. Yep, it's an out after you've used your allotted ones. In the course, you only get 2 foul balls before that's an actual strikeout.
Yeah. Guy last night was throwing.
That speeds the game up. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a pace play thing. Yeah.
He was throwing a lot of illegal pitches. Like he was like.
Oh, they weren't high enough?
Not at all.
See,
the ump did not care at all. He was like, strike.
Those ones are blastable though. We had another guy we played with one time that so this now this is just fun. I'm into this now. Mm-hmm. He had a sideways upside down visor on.
Hell yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, it was enough, not just, just got to wear the visor, which it says a lot right there. He had real spiky hair, but it's upside down. It's sideways. And he would throw like he thought he was being really clever with this little spinning thing, but it really had zero loft whatsoever. Oh, my gosh. It was the easiest thing to drill to the fence or out. Now, this was in co-ed. But, oh, my gosh, it was great. And he was softball guy. He had the backpack with both bats in there.
Yeah.
He brought the bucket of balls. He had the speaker that looks like a suitcase.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Yeah. I mean, he had it all.
Some of those teams play the most vulgar songs during their games.
Yeah. You got kids in the stands there. It's like, come on now. I brought my son. I can't have him hearing this stuff.
Some vulgar music at these games.
Yeah. But the
guy wanted to go. It's all right. He didn't get what he wanted. He was waiting for somebody to
say something
to really go back after him. And
he was muttering in the parking lot to himself.
Absolutely.
I wish MF would.
Yeah. Cooler heads prevailed at Kelly Fields.
So I'm curious, how did the rest of his team handle his?
He seemed to be a bit on an island.
Okay, I was gonna say, was he well? Okay.
And I was like, was this provoked by his own teammates? But you just kept referring to him almost as a real individual in this matter. So I wonder if maybe he's the guy that shows up to the ballpark and is willing to play for any team.
You need one?
Yeah,
it did seem like that team had a lot of subs last night.
If you guys need one, I'll play. So maybe that's why they didn't have his back.
I'm not sure.
Or if he's just that guy.
They got a total. I mean, you got to be careful who you're inviting to these things.
Yeah.
They got a total wild card if that was the case.
It might have been one of those situations too of they've seen his act for a while, so they were hoping you guys would do something about it. Like, God, he just needs to get his ass kicked. Someone just needs to do that so we could all move on from this.
I wasn't interested in kicking any ass last night.
I only came here to do two things: play some softball and kick some ass. Looks like the softball game's over. What's up, buddy?
I'm all out of bubble gum.
You ready to go?
Yeah, so it's always a great experience playing Thursday night slow pitch softball.
Oh yeah, that brings back memories. We never really had dust ups like that, but we had a lot of crap talking during games, and a lot of it, like my reaction is very similar to yours, where I'm more entertained by it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna involve myself in this.
I feel like we'd be a target if we had a zone softball team.
Oh yeah. Oh, big time.
You don't want
we
that.
have the jerseys to pull that off.
We do.
Those jerseys would be probably considered to top level.
That's true.
Slow pitch softball jerseys.
Yeah, if we got pinstripe pants, then all of a sudden we're really cooking.
If we had pants.
And we do have
we almost have to wear pants.
We do have a big boombox, rolling boombox.
Yeah,
like
we do.
That.
Oh, we can put out speakers.
Yeah.
We can put the speakers on the stands out there too.
Yeah, that would not be good for us.
Nope.
If we had a slow pitch softball team here, it just would not be very good.
Would we be able to beat our friends in Lincoln though? I'm pretty confident we would.
Well, I don't know if we have the numbers.
Yeah, we'd have
They do seem to have a large team.
Yeah. But I mean, not all of them are KLIN. So
right.
we could recruit maybe some of our own local media members and maybe some of our guests. Maybe we could get like a Michael Bruntz, a Brian Christopherson. Shafe used to play baseball.
What about Matt Foster? He looks athletic.
Foster, yeah, I bet he would be able to leg out a infield single.
Well, 3 strides and he's at first base.
Right.
The guy's like 11 feet tall.
Yeah,
enforcer.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
you need one of those guys.
I think we could put together a squad. We just have to wear some more jerseys. That'd be all right. We'd have a lot of 16s and a lot of 20s.
Poll question request coming in.
Oh, okay.
Were you interested in kicking any ass last night?
Good one. Good one.
I kind of hope this guy listens to 1620 because I want to know what maybe he was dealing with something that we just don't understand right now. He was having a bad one.
I don't know.
Don't make me feel bad for this guy, Nick.
I want to.
Some days you're having a bad day.
I want to have a contrarian perspective on this. I want to understand.
Some days you're like Nick and your kid's puking all over the place and
you got
beer's exploding in your face and you want to take it out on the softball field.
I just love that when that happened Tuesday night that there were 4 people total that would have understood. Yeah, that seems appropriate. You guys would have, Jimmy would have, myself. I don't know. Well, Gary wasn't there.
Just a bad.
It's like
a bad day.
That seems like that.
You're gonna have to go ahead and retire and try again tomorrow.
I should have. Yeah. After that, I'm like, you know what, guys?
Just hanging up.
You guys let me know how the meeting goes. I'm going to bed, and I'm waking up tomorrow hoping for a better day.
Yeah,
and it was. Everything was good, but
every decision that you make is just the wrong one.
Those
are bad.
It was. I thought, hey, since we can't figure out this little technical issue with StreamYard, I'm just going to drive with my kid who I think is over his illness, but I'm not sure. But we're going to do this damn radio show one way or another. And then you get so close at the Best Buy. And then all of a sudden.
You were at the Best Buy by the time it started coming out?
We had just gotten past the Best Buy. And then
you were right around where the guy was dancing.
I probably was. See, I'm glad that's come full circle. Now a good thing has happened over there. It completely negates the projectile puke in a loaner car that wasn't even mine. Oh yeah, that's the other part. My car had a seat issue, so they were replacing the entire back seat.
Dude,
so I had a Woodhouse loaner car.
Great.
And that got puked on.
Was it leather seats, hopefully?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
It was
somewhat.
In fact,
leather.
I give Reese a lot of credit. He for the most part kept it right in the vicinity of the child seat. So it was easy to pull that thing off.
That's good.
But
that's really good. Good shot, Reese.
There was a time, and Josh, you remember this, Connor, you'll experience this. There was a time when the kid would throw up when they were super young, like babies. No smell really. Maybe a sour milk smell. Then they get to a certain age where the food is actually digesting like a real human, and that smell is just
that's a problem.
And I had that from back to 72nd out to Bennington.
Oh, great.
Windows were open. I don't even know if that was uncomfortable for my kid or not, but I was like, I'm going to be the next to do it. So
I pop open that sunroof.
You go, I go.
Yep, this is happening, boys. But well, I'm glad you were okay. I'm glad nothing happened last night. Not that you would have gotten engaged in. I
don't think so.
And meathead moments in slow pitch softball.
I feel bad because I don't like in that respect, because there's been several dust ups over the years. It just happens.
Yeah.
I fear I'm not a great teammate, probably. You know,
like you. How so?
I don't run very hard. I definitely wouldn't have my teammates back in a fight.
Okay.
I would just kind of walk away.
But see,
my level of care is not high enough.
Wouldn't you be the guy that's like, come on, guys, are we really doing this? Like, you'd be, I could see you trying to be the peacemaker, kind of laughing and be like, okay, well, are we really doing this? Come on.
I'm not sure.
No? Are you just
I'd probably just take the other fork in the road.
Oh, okay.
You know, just go left when they're going
my
right.
car is over there. That's where I'm heading.
Yep, didn't happen.
All right. And so,
hey, yeah, good to see you again. And start talking to those people.
So clearly, you are the guy that uses up one of your home runs on yourself with nobody on.
I don't hit home runs. No, I don't
believe that.
I don't hit home runs.
I don't believe it.
My exit velocities have dipped quite a bit.
Oh, I can't even imagine what mine would be right now.
It's not great. Joel writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Joel.
1620, the slow pitch softball team rolls in with the boombox to play such bangers as Host is roasting every morning and Check the Backseat.
That would be good.
We just played only our commercials and our various jingles.
That's called added value.
You know what? That would piss a lot of the teams that we'd be playing off.
I think they'd be happy.
Yeah, we'd have a psychological edge going into the game. Like, God, can you guys please quit playing these? Hell no.
Mind games.
That's right. It starts before the game starts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. I love hearing these stories because there is, even in co-ed, there's
just always there's always a guy.
Yes.
There's always a guy.
There's just that person, that meathead. And it's always a guy. I've never seen uber competitive meathead woman in co-ed or men's league. Obviously you're not, but in co-ed, yeah, it's sometimes it's even more competitive in co-ed, or at least more. They take it more serious. Certain teams.
They do.
I can't get into that mindset. No. I always want to ask, like, have you been looking forward to this from the time you woke up? You've been counting down the hours.
There's guys who play every night, or who will stick around for the second doubleheader to play
cool.
2 more games.
Good for you. I mean, if that's your hobby that you love doing, that's great. But it's when you do that and you act out, when you go full meathead, that's where I'd like to know more about you. I'd like to.
Yeah. What does that guy do?
Yeah. I want to know. I want to know more about your life.
Something really high wire. You know.
Yeah.
Like he probably climbs like big light poles.
He's on the cell towers replacing the light.
Absolutely.
He needs to vent, and he just
adrenaline junkie.
Yep. You just need to let that out. And sometimes you just get it on the diamond. It's between 5 and 9 p.m. at Kelly Field.
Look, man, I just got down from the pole. Okay, not that pole, the tall pole, the cell tower, and so I need to let this out a little bit. Let's see.
Oh my God,
what did we have? Oh no, I think that's probably. I don't have anything else. I don't think to say, but it was good. Yeah. What are you doing this weekend?
Actually, not a lot.
Hell yeah,
nothing going on.
Sounds awesome.
Nice. Yeah, it does, right?
Why don't you head on down to Kelly Field and see if
I might. Maybe I'll see if anybody needs an extra. You know, if especially
show up with your ball and glove.
Yeah.
Hey guys, does anybody need something?
Especially if my wife's at Costco, she might be there for a while to show up and be like, "Hey,
you
guys need one?
I'll play."
Yeah, just kind of just relive it and then remind myself why I don't do it anymore.
Sounds nice. Watching lots of Wimbledon, I assume.
Yeah, of course.
All right, that's the crossover. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. That is the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. We are here and ready to rock. No fights amongst us in the last 24 hours.
Never.
Josh, have you ever you feel like maybe you could get a little stirred up from time to time, if you hit him in the right mood?
Sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know if that surprises anyone.
Would you get, would you stir it up a little bit? Not started by you, but maybe finished by you.
I'd finish it. Yeah, that's right.
You ever jumped in on a scrum, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, I have started fights before.
Yeah.
I've told this story before where I was DDing some young co-eds around campus, and they wanted to go to a party at the frat house, and
oh yeah, they didn't let you in.
Big burly guy puts his hand on my chest as I try and enter the party, and I said, "No, that's not the way this is going down, sir."
And then I forgot the end of this story.
We had it out on the front yard.
Yeah.
And then
did you go in?
No, the girls decided they didn't want to go anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so
maybe I embarrassed them or something.
You think you threw off the vibe of the night? Did you know these people? Did you know these? You were just.
Did I know the girls?
Yeah. Did you know the girls?
Vaguely.
Guys are drivers in the front lawn fighting with the guy at the door. I don't think I want to be here anymore. That makes sense. Yeah, when people don't wrong Josh will come after you.
Yeah.
Don't talk to Josh. Don't talk to Josh's people. Don't talk a mess to Josh or Josh's people.
If I feel aggrieved, I will let you know.
Exactly. If I feel aggrieved, I will probably be mad, but I won't do anything. That's kind of my style. Welcome to a Friday show. Today we will catch up with our regular Friday guest, Bryan Munson. Will join the show coming up at the top of the hour. Ryan Christopherson at 11:30. Stephen M. Sipple at 12:30. That's the lineup, powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. A lot of things to get into, really from throughout the week, and then in college football. There's a story that we'll get to here in just a few minutes on The Athletic by Mitch Sherman today, who talked with Mr. Yogurt about a variety of different topics, including officially, but not quite officially, I guess, grass coming to Memorial Stadium.
Grass.
They're going to play on a natural playing surface.
Oh.
And I can't help but notice that people are not, either they're not fired up about this or they like it and they're not saying anything, because that's what usually happens. Like if you like stuff, you're just like, okay, cool. You don't
that's
say
the way it
about
should have been for a long time. I agree.
If you dislike it, then you're gonna have something to say about it on Twitter. I don't. That's the type of thing that I think would have triggered people once upon a time. But I don't think it is anymore.
I feel like the tide has turned on grass versus turf.
The tide has definitely turned. There's been some examples. I mean, Nebraska had two pretty devastating injuries in the spring game, and I think that's kind of a part of it. So we'll get to that, and then Dannon commented on roster limits and how they're going to kind of, their game plan as far as unlimited coaches are concerned. So we'll cover all that during the show today. CBS Sports did their hot seat rankings. Is Matt Rhule on the hot seat?
Couldn't possibly be, right?
I like the little laugh in there, because no, he's definitely not on the hot seat. But everybody gets a ranking: 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So we'll see where Matt Rhule's is, along with everybody else in the country, and we'll talk about movement with coaches in college football and how, I don't know. I feel like we say this a lot, but maybe it just won't be quite as there's no obvious candidates this year to be fired.
Sam Pittman.
And we don't everybody kind of knew going into last year that Harbaugh, going into the last few years, I guess, that Harbaugh was looking for, a way back into the NFL. and Michigan was rolling the way that they're rolling. So that one was kind of hanging over the sport the entire year. And then there was the impending Saban retirement, which I didn't think was going to happen last year, or after last season, but ended up happening. But like we've seen a bit of a changing of the guard, Josh, in terms of the coaches and kind of the power structure and who the people that listen when you kind of speak up and say stuff like those are two. I mean, we don't have Urban Meyer anymore. We don't have Nick Saban anymore. We don't have Jim Harbaugh anymore in college football. So where does that leave us as far as the top coaches in the sport? And might that lead to generally less turnover? That combined with limited funds, of course, that athletic departments think they have now, that they have to start paying players.
Everybody's broke.
We're back to being broke now.
Cash strapped.
Jay Billis is very confused. He's like, what? I thought they had enough money. Now they're saying that they don't. It is very interesting. So we'll have that during the show. We'll of course hear from what's going on over at the 180th and Maple Costco. Happy Costco opening day to those of you in town. We'll talk about the passing of Monty Kiffin yesterday. Paul Skenes continues to be dominant. Jay Norvell is triggered. And speaking of Paul Skenes, there's the breaking news sounder, Josh. Tell us.
The 2024 Major League Baseball All-Star Game has a National League starter, and his name is Paul F. Skenes.
Just 2 years ago, that man was hitting dongs for Air Force. He was a cadet. Just a year ago, he was throwing seeds downtown in Omaha. And now look at him.
He was watching games at Creighton.
I think this is the right call. Like he was watching games at Creighton like 3 months ago.
That's right.
I think this is the right call. Like I don't know. Like we're really, especially in baseball, we're really cautious about these type of things. But like he's the best pitcher in baseball, and he's almost certainly the most entertaining pitcher in baseball.
Certainly the only one that moves the needle from a ratings perspective. Now, I don't know with that, like the bump is very nominal, but
yeah, like what's the All-Star game going to rate?
Yeah. and then, Paul Skenes is starting. Let me tune it in. But like,
that's the kind of guy I want starting the All-Star game.
Yes.
The guy who's going to get up there, give me an inning or two and throw 102 miles an hour and just blow everybody away with sliders and splinkers and fastballs up in the zone. It'll be awesome.
You'll see him against Judge or Soto probably in that first inning.
Awesome.
And maybe both.
This is fantastic. The Pittsburgh Pirates say that a heat wave is about to hit Texas. Paul Skenes has been named the starting pitcher for the National League in the All-Star game. That guy was pitching at Warner Park 2 months ago. Remember Kids Day?
I do.
Was it 2? I guess it was probably 3 months ago, right? He made his major league debut on May 11th, and it wasn't, it was probably 2 weeks before that where he was making that start at Warner Park, and he has been dominant. So we'll talk more about him as we go on throughout the show today. It's a good watch, folks, and it's definitely good for baseball that he's doing what he's doing. But we're watching Wimbledon. We love Wimbledon.
Yeah, Carlos just advanced to the finals.
Oh, Mr. Alcaraz?
Yes.
Mr. Alcaraz. That's good.
He beat
Medvedev.
That's right.
Who will he play, Josh? Great question.
Probably Novak Djokovic.
Who's Novak Djokovic playing against?
Oh, the Italian ranked 25th in the world, Lorenzo Musetti.
Of course.
No singles titles.
Now, don't get anybody from different countries confused with other people from, certain people have maybe learned their lesson on that after yesterday.
Oh, yes. There is.
Thanks, President B.
Alcaraz did beat a Russian.
Are you sure? Sure.
Yes.
Sure, was it a Ukrainian?
ESPN has him from no country whatsoever.
Also, remember who your vice president is.
My vice president?
No, not yours. Yeah, I don't know. We gotta throw in jabs. Everybody's doing it. It's kind of low hanging fruit right now.
Very low.
We were saying like, I wonder if if SNL was on the air right now, what would they even be doing with this? What would they be doing right now? And the answer is what we've all said all along, which is when the reality is funnier or more ridiculous or more insane than it's ever been, that it's just very difficult thing to make fun of. It's better that it's just playing out the way it's playing out. Probably.
Well, they do the thing where everybody dresses up like their best impression.
Yeah.
And he can't name any of them. Like, oh, blimey, look at me, I'm Hugh Jackman. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Bono.
Yeah. We do something like that probably.
Yeah.
All right, we are off and running here on a Friday. We will come back. Let's talk grass.
You know, I always will.
Josh loves grass talk. You know who also loves grass? Matt Rhule. He's a big fan of grass. I love grass. That's what he's saying to everybody right now. And Nebraska will have a grass playing surface in short order. It's Friday. Please join us. By the way, we got an email here on the Equitable Bank inbox, which you could do as well. Connor at 1620thezone.com or Josh O at 1620thezone.com. John says, I was in and out during the crossover. Did I hear you say you kicked some guy's ass last night? Impressive. Yes, you heard that right.
If you're impressed by it, yes, I did do it.
Don't step to me. I'll kick your butt. No, nobody's butt got kicked last night. Also, you can tweet into the show at Happer Show. At Connor Happer, at producer_Josh in the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Call or text 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees, the Source hotline. And drop a comment in the YouTube comment section. We love the YouTube comment section.
We sure do. Those are our people.
1620 The Zone TV on YouTube, or, of course, conveniently located on our website, 1620thezone.com or zonetv.live. I love zonetv.live.
That's the way the cool kids are doing it.
They really are. So check us out on a variety of different platforms. Maybe you could just watch, if you want to watch a show or vacillate between watching the show, listening to the show. Maybe you go out into your garage. It's Friday in the summer, and you're supposed to have today off, right? It's Friday during the summer. That's how it goes. I'd like to say again that I'm here on Friday during the summer, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank
Connor.
you. I appreciate that.
Your sacrifice is noted.
We're not going to talk about last week.
No. I mean, that was last week.
Yeah, last week was last week. Josh was here, and he was my proxy.
Yeah.
So I was basically here last week. But I love being here on Fridays during the summer. So you take your lawn chair, you fill up a little cooler, and you sit there. You bring your boom box with your AM radio, and then you could also watch us on YouTube at the same time. And just, it's like listening to a baseball game on the radio and watching it on TV at the same time.
Mute the TV. Turn the radio up.
Exactly. That's what I would do if I were you. If I had a day off, I'd be doing exactly that in my garage with my cooler. Off and running on a Friday. The Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Bryan Munson's coming up here in just a few minutes. Story dropped this morning from Mitch Sherman of The Athletic, who caught up with our dear AD Yogurt. And he had some things to say. Just a couple updates on how Nebraska is going to approach some changes in college football. He had no comment, by the way, on he had little comment on the departure of Evan Cooper and the preceding hiring of John Butler, where he said, quote, "I understand why we got to that point. One thing I do appreciate about Matt is that he has high expectations for everything and everyone in his program." So you tell me if that was a resignation or not. People are like, "Oh, it wasn't a forced resignation. He just resigned and moved on." Don't read into it. There's nothing to read into it about it. Yeah.
Totally normal time
grow
to
up.
resign and
Grow up.
move on.
That's my advice to you guys. Grow up. But I was talking to Mitch about this last night, and you can hear some of it, by the way, on the Locked On Nebraska podcast, as well as here. There's some really interesting stuff that we'll get to a little bit later in the show about how Nebraska plans to approach roster limits that are potentially coming, that are definitely coming down. It's just more about when and what the number is going to be at this point, and the fact that they're going to have, they can have unlimited coaches on their staff now. Nebraska, by the way, has 77 football staffers.
Whoa.
Did you know that?
Had no clue.
77. It's a big operation. I don't know if you guys have heard this, and there's going to be bigger ones all around the country, and maybe Nebraska's will continue to grow as well. But even Mitch knew that when he put this little nugget in the bottom of the story, that it was going to kind of, it might provide as the headline. Nebraska plans to replace the field turf at Memorial Stadium with natural grass as early as the 2026 season. So I kind of thought that we'd be talking about after this year. Here's why. First, the school will replace the 2 grass fields outside of the Osborne Legacy Complex in early 2025. So that's after this football season, with a natural surface that will be heated from the underground. So Nebraska will practice on that field in the fall of 2025, and they will use that as sort of a test project for what the stadium might look like in the elements that Nebraska is in all year long with the weather and stuff like that. How are you able to keep it up and things like that? But there's no doubt that there's going to be a lot to this. It's a monetary investment, certainly more than turf is. And I think there's some, there's some stuff where, like, Nebraska's moving to the west sideline this year. So they'll get the shade in September and early October even.
People forget.
That's really nice. But as people have commented on, that sideline is smaller, like physically smaller. So when they put this grass down, there will be probably some maneuvering of just how the field sits and kind of where it is, in order to not, like, you don't want to give yourself an inherent disadvantage. Yes, you're giving yourself an advantage by not playing on the sun sideline in September, but you're giving yourself a disadvantage by playing on the very tiny baby sideline. So maybe you kind of you actually shift things a little bit toward the east and make that sideline a little bit more spacious for you. That'll be part of what they do when they rip the field turf out after the 2025 season. So I'm curious about people's thoughts on this. Are you hashtag Team Grass? And I am curious to see just like generally how it works. I mean, we have a lot of examples about this around college football, certainly in the NFL. I think of how grass fields look in the Midwest. I mean, Kansas City is probably the best example we have of this for the Chiefs. And, their field looks a little beat up by the end of the season.
Little beat up all the time.
It looks great at the start of the season. And that's another place that has concerts such as Taylor Swift concerts, very famous Taylor Swift concerts.
Yeah.
For the record there. So Nebraska, and this is, I think, part of it, because we've talked about this a little bit before, Mr. Yogurt, aka Troy Dannon, thinks about Memorial Stadium, I think, a little bit differently than his predecessor did. I don't think I don't think it would have been Trev's first preference to do this. I think this has been a discussion point for a long time around Nebraska, and obviously there's a player safety aspect to it, which Rhule is super gung-ho about. And then it's, the cherry on top, obviously, was, I guess the negative cherry on top was the injuries that Nebraska football players suffered during the spring game this year. And you could just point to that and say, hey, look, man, we got evidence of this now. It's absolutely a thing in the NFL. Players are talking about it. The turf is just a place where you're more likely to get hurt. Now, with that being said, we have seen some not so great grass playing surfaces around the NFL and around college football.
Yeah, you got to take care of it. You got to put it install it correctly.
And so, yes, you have to install it correctly and you have to maintain it. And in order to do that, it's going to be an investment there for Nebraska. You got to heat it from underneath and make sure the grass kind of stays green all year long. So I think, back to what I was saying about Trev and Dannon, like, I think they think about this a little bit differently. Like, Trev wanted to make Memorial Stadium a place where they're going to have concerts and they're going to have other events. And it's really easy to do that when you have a turf field. You put those white plastic slabs down and then you pull them up and the field looks exactly the same once you do that. We remember the Pink concert last year, Josh, at the Chuck.
We do. How could you forget?
AKA Charles Schwakoff Stadium. As
clever.
That's the Carl Ravitch one there. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate that. But I can tell you, all throughout the Creighton season this year, the Creighton baseball season in March and April, there was a spot in deep dead center field that looked like it had a stage there in August. It did. It was a little bit different. So there's some maintenance that kind of has to go along with this, obviously, but using it for other things becomes a little bit more difficult and a little bit more like, his ultimately Dannon is saying, hey, look, this is a football field. And who would I be as an athletic director if I wasn't giving my football coach the first option on what to do with his own facility? And I think Trev kind of approached it as, I'm an athletic director and this is our premier facility. This is our biggest facility and we want to use it all the time. And it's not just a football stadium. Obviously, for 7 Saturdays, it is a football stadium. But for more days of the year, it can be something else. And it can be something that we could really use for a monetary benefit, for a revenue benefit. And so I think that's just a slight change in approach. And Dannon is a little bit more of like, yeah, our football coach wants this. And so I'm going to listen to him. I'm all ears and I want to make his job as easy as I could possibly make it. And so that's a little bit of a change, I guess, in a more big picture as far as grass versus turf is concerned. But like I said, I mean, you look at a lot of fields around the country and there's teams in the Midwest, there's universities, NFL teams, whatever, who really do it right. And Nebraska just so happens to have a A+ agriculture program over on East Campus. And a golf turf grass, like they're going to know how to do it, but I'm curious to see how it'll look like if Nebraska's hosting a playoff game in December, might it be a little browner than you want it to be? Maybe, but I have an inkling that Matt Rhule, he of college football sicko fame, would love it. Yeah, he'd be like, yeah, just kill that field. I don't care. I want to play in the most disgusting conditions as we could possibly get. Like, Matt Rhule probably watched that Dolphins-Chiefs playoff game on Peacock and was like, yes, I need this. I need this in my life. I need this in my life. And so I think, he is obviously very, 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 very on board with this from a player safety perspective. And that's, when they talk about this going forward and when Nebraska actually does make the shift after the 2025 season, they'll say, hey, look, the evidence is there. From a player safety perspective, this is the way to go. They don't have to talk about anything else, but I think deep down, even outside of that, Rhule just straight up prefers it. I don't know much more about, types of grass and things of that nature, but you can pretty much guarantee that when Nebraska does this, they're going to do it right, and it's going to look really, 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 really cool. It'll be awesome. I think it'll be, I am one of the weirdos who thinks about this stuff. Like, I think about stadiums a lot and the intricacies of those and playing surfaces and just what fields kind of look like. I love the presentation of sports, I know I'm super weird, but like that's so it'll be a really cool thing to see the red block end painted on the middle of a grass field at Memorial Stadium. I'm so on board. This is awesome. But I'm honestly kind of sad that we have to wait 2 more seasons to get it.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to be a long process, which I guess I knew it would be long, but I didn't know it would be that long. But you want to take your time, you want to do it right. I get it.
Take your time, do it right. They're gonna do up the practice fields coming up after this season, and then kind of see how that one goes. So that'll be a good test case for them.
1970 spring game was the last time.
Wow.
The Huskers played a game on grass at Memorial Stadium.
That's a good stat, Josh. Whoa. Did you do your research on this?
No, I stole it from John Bishop.
Oh, John. If you ever needed some stat about the 70s, John's got you.
They love their grass in the 70s, let me tell you.
Folks, yes, they do.
He's also got a gif of a dump truck. I have no idea what that could mean.
He was also saying on Twitter this morning that that the first mow should be a fan mow. I think that's what he was saying. Everybody brings their mowers out, and I'm at the end of the line handing people beers out of a vendor crate, and it's like, here you go, guys. Have that first gas mow on Memorial Stadium, and take that first gas mow beer.
He really painted a picture.
He really
with that tweet. And I loved it. I love the idea because who among us would not pay $50 to bring your mower?
Just give me one stripe, baby.
Yep.
Give me one stripe.
Like, there will be enough people participating where everybody gets one stripe.
If I could,
you get one down.
We're talking about
no down and back.
We're talking about like 130 yards, right? 130 yards, and this is all. It's gonna be, just a few steps, but it's glory.
You want to boost your NIL war chest? That's how you do it.
130 yards to glory. That's what they'll call the documentary. Maybe they do it like the Heroes game, and they, somebody who's been a huge helping hand in the community throughout the year,
a hero.
They get to walk on the field in like a couple days before the first game, and they get to give it that fresh gas mow. And then you make you made some content out of it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff so don't tell me the Memorial Stadium's not going to be a revenue producer anymore. Now they got grass. Nope. I mean, come on. There's plenty of ideas.
Which Nebraska dignitary would be the person who gets to say, "Gentlemen, start your mowers"?
Jim Pillen.
He would.
He definitely would. He definitely would. I would absolutely do that, Josh. For the record, I would love to do that. Now the question is, as Memorial Stadium is maintained with grass, will it be gas mowed or will it be lib machined?
Oh, yeah. It's a university, so it'll probably be lib machined. The official lib machine of Nebraska athletics.
That's another thing that they could do. They could do official. I mean, they don't have
an official mower.
They don't have an official mower of Nebraska athletics. Steel, or whatever it is. Yeah, do one of those.
Yeah.
Just go with the old Hondas. I got a Honda. It's never gonna die.
Does Case IH make a mower?
Maybe they just sell mowers, or they just have I'm not sure. You have to check on that one.
Oh, yeah, they got mowers.
Perfect.
Case IH, the official mower of Memorial Stadium.
John emails in.
Hi, John.
Hopefully, Nebraska puts the same heating and water removal system in Memorial Stadium as they put in Haymarket Park. That works awesome over there. Were you picking up on that sarcasm a little bit?
I was.
The dugouts definitely don't get flooded a lot over it. Hilariously enough, I think there is a push from the baseball program to want turf at Haymarket Park, even though they have a lovely playing surface over there.
Easier for them,
easier to turn around, easier to maintain. Obviously, the ease is something like how much are you giving up to be able to, have this grass field. Sindelar writes in,
Hi, Sindelar.
I'm loving the hashtag grass talk on Happer Show right now. We got you. He is a man of grass himself. That dude loves talking about grass.
Oh, yeah?
Alex Sindelar this year was with John Bishop on the call for a Creighton baseball game against Georgetown, where there was a lengthy rain delay. He was up in the press box and realized the rain delay was going to last several hours. And he said he was watching the grounds crew at the Chuck Box Charles Schwakoff Stadium struggle with getting the necessary things into place. And he said, I can't stand this anymore. And he ran downstairs and he got on the field and started helping the grounds crew.
Whoa.
That is a man of grass.
Now, there's people that yell at the TV and criticize. Alex Sindelar, man of action.
Immediately sprung into it. That's a hero.
Yes.
Give him a stripe. Give him a stripe at Memorial
Alex Sindelar
Stadium.
has more than earned a stripe in my book.
Doc writes in.
What's up, Doc?
I love how Matt Rhule thinks playing on grass is going to increase player safety. Like the players are out there dying on the field because they're playing on turf. See, Doc, they're not dying, but
If we die, we die.
They're not dying, but they are getting injured a lot more on turf than they are on grass. That's just a fact. That's not a made up Matt Rhule thing. That is indeed real. Look at every NFL player's Twitter account. They're like,
I hate this stuff.
Now is that the direct? Is turf responsible for every ACL tear? No, not directly, but it's been proven we have the history of time to look back on now that there's just less injuries on grass playing surfaces. Jay Todd writes in.
Hi, Jay Todd.
Interesting point by him. Shouldn't Josh be the one pouring the beers at the end of the stripe, at the end of the gas mow? It seems as if he has the experience.
This is my
forgot we uncovered that this week.
One of my fortes. Now, I would just like to bring this up.
Yep.
You brought up that people are not dying on turf fields. I will bring up that Damar Hamlin did legally die
on a turf field.
Paycor Stadium.
That's
in
true.
Cincinnati.
That's true. So take that, Doc. Damar Hamlin did die on turf.
Now he came back.
He came back to life.
He was at the
and
ESPYs
it wasn't
last
because
night.
of the turf at all.
Right.
But once again, stats are stats.
Mm-hmm.
One more here before we get to Munson. John emails in. How much would you be required to donate to 1890 in order to be a part of the first gas mow of the grass at Memorial Stadium? I'm telling you, I'd pay $100 straight to NIL, baby.
$100.
Yeah.
And you got to bring,
I'll bring my gas mower. Sure.
But everybody's width of their mower is different. Don't they want a consistent stripe?
That's true. Maybe they have to supply the mowers. Maybe
I like the spirit of everybody bring your own mower and we'll do this together.
Can I be the striper? Can I lay down the paint?
Okay.
Can I do that?
I mean, Connor, you're a local celebrity.
I'd love
you get things that the normies don't.
A note to the Nebraska grounds crew. I'd love to help. I'd love to help. It's Friday, so let's catch up with our dear friend Bryan Munson of Husker Online coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're happy to be joined on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our good friend, Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Talk some recruiting and more. Munson, good to talk to you. How you been?
Good, man. I was just saying, I was chilling on the beach this time last week, and it's good to get back into the saddle a little bit, but boy, I came back home and it's just brutal hot here. I don't know what you guys are getting up there, but it's brutal down here.
Yeah, it was well, it's heating back up again. I spent last weekend in the mountains where it was 38 degrees overnight, and then I came back down and it was I just was immediately sweating. So quite the change in climates for me as well.
I'm familiar with that concept, dude. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we were getting on the plane in Tampa, getting off the plane in Dallas, and I was like, why did we go somewhere equally hot? I was like, oh, the beach, that's right. But I was like, why did we come back here again? It was like, it was like the fifth ring, dude. I was smack dab in it, pulling around my suitcase. It was terrible.
I know Josh was just asking you, did you maneuver around Mr. Barrel, the hurricane?
You know, it's crazy, man, because I was sitting here watching this thing after it hit Houston, and it was like picking up steam, and the speed was kind of racing, and it was literally bearing down on us. I live on the west side of Dallas, so if you look on the west side of Dallas and you find there's a lake called Lake Ray Hubbard, and I'm literally on the west side of that, and I was like, okay, well, we're going to get some rain for the first time since the day after Memorial Day. We're going to get some rain, and we literally got a sprinkle that didn't even knock the dust down, and then it took this hard right turn back up towards Arkansas.
It's almost worse. I mean, I guess it's not worse than getting hit by the hurricane, but like it's you could have used a little bit. I think
I could have used one of the outer bands, no wind, just give me a good third to a half an inch of rain, and I've been plenty happy. And I'm not making light of all the disastrous type of effects of a hurricane or that one in particular, but man, we are bone dry since the Tuesday morning after Memorial Day. We have not had substantial rain.
Not dry. Nebraska recruiting. They've got some commitments here. There we go. There's a transition. So 15 in the class right now. People are paying a lot of attention to some others. I mean, we've talked about how it's kind of winding down in terms of the 24 class, and we don't know how big the number is going to be. I can't imagine it's going to be a gigantic class. A few big fish out there right now. Like where are we watching, and where do we stand in the 2024 class? 2025. Sorry.
Yeah, 2025. Yeah, and I make that mistake too, because it just gets so confusing. You're in the calendar year, but you're counting the year ahead. So, right. Bryson Weber announced his top 3 yesterday, and which is huge news because he's having to kind of re-engage the whole recruiting process. You know, last Friday he gets the news that Cooper is resigning at Nebraska. That was the coach that was recruiting him, and he was kind of sitting here going, I'm not sure like what I can do or what to do now. And then he was off to camp, to church camp for a few days and put his phone away. And I think it actually worked out very well for him. He got back to a world where Nebraska was just, 24 hours away from making a replacement hire announcement. And he had a conversation with Coach Butler, and things went well. And he's done, while he was kind of re-engaging things yesterday, he's done some quick homework. His stepdad played for Ohio State, I think, and then he played in the NFL. So he's pretty familiar. He's got a pretty broad base, of kind of people and their role and familiarity with people in the game of football. So I think that's really been helpful to him, as far as guidance is concerned and just kind of where he's at with his process. So I think Bryson Weber, I still feel really good here. I don't think anything that's happened at Nebraska is going to, necessarily, put him in a position where he's really going to, flip over to Utah or Baylor. I think that you're going to see something from him in the next, I want to say week. It could be the next 48 hours, to be honest with you. I think I think that this is compounding. It's like one of those things where they find a weakness and they attack the weakness. They've done that. The attention is kind of ramped up a little bit for him since kind of all the confusion happened with Coach Cooper. So there's been some other teams that have been trying to make a move with him. But then I think you also have to kind of take a look at Will Hawthorne, the linebacker from Gilbert, Iowa, down to a top 2, Iowa State and Nebraska. He's just kind of, he just wants to kind of sort through it. I mean, it's a big decision for him. I mean, Gilbert isn't Ames, but Gilbert isn't too far away from Ames. So he's kind of considering Iowa State to be like the home city, like the city school. And then Nebraska is, a school that's really caught his eye. It impressed he and his parents, on his official visit. And he's also recovering from a surgery on his hand when he broke his thumb. So he's kind of trying to get through that and get on with, getting ready for his senior year. And, oh yeah, by the way, I got to make a commitment. So I think you'll see something out of his camp in the next week or two. But those are like the two guys I'd keep like a really close eye on, like before the end of July. And then you get into a whole bunch of other guys like, Omaha West Side linebacker Christian Jones, who I don't think really has a timeline. He might even take more official visits in the fall. You got a couple guys that take an official visits to Nebraska that we just don't have a great understanding on, or we don't think Nebraska's really in the picture anymore, like Cade Peterzik and Aiden Manitoui. Then you got like the big announcement, like with David Sanders Jr., Nebraska being in his top 4, but really probably in that bottom tier when it comes to that. And Michael Terry, how does Nebraska get around, having only hosted both of those guys only one time? I mean, that's like, I think the biggest problem that I see there with both of those guys. I think Nebraska's got to kind of consider that, as they look at the fall, and their very friendly schedule they have in the first part of the season.
Yeah.
They have to consider, if they're not getting Sanders and Terry type players to basically visit in the fall, they're going to have a limited time to kind of get them on campus multiple times in the spring before they would, potentially take an official visit in May or June next year. So I think that's such an interesting thing to kind of weave into how serious a player could be about your school.
Yeah, I want to ask you about those guys here in a second, but you mentioned Evan Cooper and obviously the news of last week.
Yeah.
I think everybody agrees that his impact is most heavily felt in the recruiting space. Obviously with Butler, there's things that we know and there's things that we don't know. Nebraska's recruiting operation, fundamentally changes a little bit without Evan Cooper there in the fold. I guess, what do you think the results of that are going to be, both in the short term and in the long term?
Yeah, you no longer have Philip Simpson either. A year ago, he decides to go to Florida State and go back home to Tallahassee. And, then Cooper was kind of your last kind of connection to the state. And both those guys were critical, to the process with Barney and Sanders and McGahee and, Shavers. Those were legitimately guys that were going down there and turn over stones, landed 5-6 guys in last year's class. And now you don't have any connection to the state at all. And I think that obviously, we've seen it from, Coach Frost's staff with the ties back to UCF. You can get players from Florida to Nebraska. But I think that in recruiting the state of Florida, it's critical that you have a known commodity on your staff when it comes to the local players, the local schools, the local high school staffs, right? You've got to have a guy that you could put there that people can say like, oh yeah, I know you, or I know you through another person, or I'm familiar with you, or whatever. That's like a state right there that's really built on relationships and trust. I think it's very similar to Texas that way. But if you don't have that connection, it really dials up the difficulty and be able to go ahead and go down there effectively. But I think the other side of it is too, and I mentioned this a little bit this morning in Teletalk, I think that, there's a crazy lift right now on Coach Butler in Nebraska to kind of get things ready for fall camp. And then You're putting, 2026, is where you got to start thinking about where their heads got to be when it comes to recruiting. I also know that Coach Evan Cooper didn't have like one of those additional assistant coaches like helping him out. I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska went out and got him some help and really put another person back there with him to take some pressure off and, you know, help kind of stop gap some stuff when it comes to recruiting or it comes to this, that, the coaching. So I think that's going to be another thing. You're not going to see this as a single man operation again back there in that space. Especially with the 3-3-5. I mean, there's too many guys that are in your room, and then you have too many guys, of course, that you have to recruit for too many different roles. So I think that's going to be something that they're going to open that up a little bit more, maybe take some pressure off.
5-star offensive lineman David Sanders Jr. is going to announce his decision on August 17th. Nebraska is okay. So first of all, are you surprised that Nebraska popped up in the top 4 there, especially considering that I don't think that they were in like the top 6. So I don't know what the deal is, but it's a good company to be in with Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, and then Nebraska.
Oh, it's an incredible company to be in. And I think everybody is excited, you know, about that type of news. It's not anything like that. And I mean, you go from off the radar to being squarely on it, and you wonder like what's changed. And I think people are also asking the question about what changed, like, because he seemed like he was a lean towards Clemson. Now Clemson's not even in the Final Four, and a team that's off the radar, you know, jumped squarely back on it again. And you're just going, man, you know, is this Dylan Raiola related, you know, or how serious can he really be when it comes to this? Because what I understand about this is it's really not going to come down to NIL for him, right? He's a very, very, very smart individual with a great family. And I think that, you know, like, even though Dylan Raiola wasn't there that weekend, Caleb Benning was, and did an exceptional job helping recruit and host David Sanders that weekend. So I'm very interested to kind of hear and see where things are kind of going. I think there was a report this morning that came out from On3 that basically put, you know, the top 4 into tiers, and it's like Ohio State, Ohio State, Tennessee, I think, in the top 2, and then Georgia and Nebraska in the bottom 2. But man, how still some pretty elite company to kind of be there, you know, for him. It's really interesting, like how Nebraska, you know, could have potentially been a little bit further along, you know, with him, you know, if Raiola had jumped into the class a little bit sooner than in December. It would have been really interesting to see, can we get him there in January? Can we get him in to come in April before he comes back for an official visit during Mother's Day weekend? I mean,
so yeah, that's still like a card that they have to play, right? Right. Yeah, like and that's the kind of the nice thing about them being in the group, the final group here. He still hasn't got much one-on-one time with Dylan Raiola, and you assume that they're going to try and give him a chance to do that before that commitment date, or at some point during, you know, the rest of the cycle here.
It's really interesting. Like, I talked to 2026 wide receiver Brock Boyd this morning, and he was considering getting up there to Lincoln in July 27th for the end of the year barbecue, which is something I think Sanders has probably been asked to come back for. But, you know, it's kind of a weird weekend the NCAA gives back to the schools and to the recruits, because a lot of schools are kind of ramping up their, you know, hey, we're getting ready for fall camp, and we're starting our pre-fall camp activities and stuff like that, which makes it really kind of difficult to get away. But I mean, hopefully Nebraska is trying their hardest to get Sanders to make a return visit in July, to where, you know, they could put him in front of Raiola, put him in front of a couple other guys, you know, that would be very, very beneficial and valuable. I think without that, you could basically just go ahead and put a nail in it. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if they can get him back on campus, anything is possible. That's what I've always said about Nebraska. Get them on campus, and anything is possible.
It's a good way to put it. Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. All right, Munson, it's time for the weekend for you, my friend. Enjoy. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys next week.
It's Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Would you say that David Sanders Jr. is Raiola pilled?
Oh, got to think about these things now.
Or I don't know. I don't know what the right. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly now, but.
Well, Nick will tell you he only has said it 37,000 times on the air this week.
They have an opportunity to potentially get him back on campus. Nebraska's in consideration for a 5-star offensive lineman, the best in the country. And Nebraska is connected because of Dylan Rhule, and they haven't even really, like, when he visited here last time, Rhule wasn't even here. And so I don't know how high can Nebraska jump if that is indeed to happen at some point in the next month before his commitment date. Or maybe does the commitment date get pushed back and you visit for a game, like whatever it might be. Nebraska still has a card or two to play here. So I don't know. Like I certainly wouldn't. It doesn't look like I'd favor them in this race. Nebraska from an NIL component, as Munson said, I don't think it's about like who's going to have the highest offer. But for a guy like this, they will make sure that the offer looks the same as anybody else's, right? And then it's really, really about, all right, what is the school offering me? What does the trajectory look like? And can I win games? That's where, Nebraska has to prove something. And so the timing doesn't necessarily work out from that perspective, but like to see Nebraska in there shooting their shot a little bit. Good stuff there with Munson in our weekly recruiting update. We will come back, talk some more football. Bryan Christopherson, back-to-back Bryans. Hey, Bryan.
Hi, Bryan.
Coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Bryan Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
We are happy to be joined now, the 42 Degrees of Source hotline, by our good friend Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. BC, hello, happy Friday. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Good to hear from you. So let's dive into the news of the last week here. So it's a pretty quick transition. Nebraska goes from Evan Cooper to John Butler. They officially announced the hire yesterday. Let's go back to Cooper, because weirdly I don't feel like it's been given quite enough conversation this week, especially considering we're in the doldrums of the summer here. What are you most interested in that Nebraska is losing with Evan Cooper no longer on the staff?
I thought he was a great evaluator. I think everybody around him thought that he was, I don't know if you want to say top of the staff, but it seemed like he was most respected of anybody about being able to locate talent, know how to get Nebraska in connection with it. You think of some of the guys even down in Miami who have got off to impressive starts, like your Ja'Cory Barneys and your Vincent Shavers and some other kids that are just getting going here. Evan Cooper gave Nebraska a foot in the door in a place like that. So he just had a way and was very trusted by Matt Rhule and the other coaches with when he put his finger and said that, this guy's someone to look at. People respected it. I think, you go back to when Matt Rhule was thinking about taking this job. I know he's spoken about, he talked to Evan Cooper before coming to Nebraska and was getting his feel for, what do you think of the talent in that area? Can you recruit locally enough or within a certain radius to be effective in that way? And his input was very valued at that crucial moment when you're deciding what to do with a career move. So, you put all that stuff together. We should not sell short how valuable he was to the staff. And if you want to just look at dollar signs for a non-coordinator position, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but he was 600 to 700,000, somewhere in that range. I mean, he was one of the higher up guys, which obviously showed how big a deal he was financially to Matt Rhule and what they were doing.
And I don't think you replace him 1-to-1 either, right? Because they're bringing in John Butler and he's going to take his spot on the full-time coaching staff. But like you said, where Nebraska is going to miss Evan Cooper the most is in the identification of talent that's out there. And he was really, really trusted. How does Nebraska go about replacing that role specifically, not the on-field coaching role, but that role that you just explained, and his trust that he had with Matt Rhule because I think they kind of have to do it in the aggregate, right? What kind of opportunity does Nebraska have here to kind of mix things up on their staff?
Well, maybe you don't have one guy who's exactly like Evan Cooper, but you feel like you have a collection of them that kind of give you that, a guy, he's not behind the scenes in any way, but he's not a full-time coach. Like Keith Williams has emerged in the last year or two. And I think he's really important, to this staff and in finding guys and, helping that process. I think Rob Dvorak, as far as, yes, he's a good young coach on the field, but the more I hear about him as a recruiter, I think he does a good job of getting Nebraska into Kansas City and some of the, areas where there have sometimes been some issues for Husker football with recruiting. So you've got guys, when you combine their talents together, that can be very effective. And the one thing I think that's kind of stood out about Matt Rhule is he's not someone who's going to cry over spilled milk for long or at all.
Right.
He's just that type of coach who's like, okay, there's other good coaches out there. There's other good people who can fill roles. I'm going to trust my network and other guys to step up and deliver. And he trusts young guys to do that too. So it didn't surprise me. I'm not naive to the fact. I don't think like Evan Cooper just walked in on that Friday after July 4th, and that's when the process started. Obviously, it had been building for a while, but I was not surprised with just how, I guess you could say, smoothly it was handled in a way that, like you mentioned, we haven't talked as much this week around here about Evan Cooper. Well, that's because the news came out public on a Friday right after the 4th of July, and then 14 hours later you've already got a new name, John Butler, that he's done his work on, and people are moving on to that. And so that's a very effective way of handling a news dump if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, like expert level stuff. Great. Pretty good job by them in that department, especially on the day. Like it was the 4th of July weekend on the Friday at 6:00, and then they had it done, like you said, 14 hours later. Almost doesn't give you time to kind of digest the entire thing, which is obviously a positive thing for the football program, but makes it interesting to have conversations about. BC. So Nebraska is taking a trio of seniors to media days. Ben Scott on the offensive line, Isaac Gifford in the defensive backfield, and then Ty Robinson up front on defense. 3 great representatives, and like I said, seniors, and all had an opportunity to, maybe not be, just like everybody, not be at Nebraska for this season. I'm interested to hear from those guys in a couple weeks about kind of the changes, and I think they're great guys to ask about this, just the changes that they've seen in the program over the last year or two now, and how they feel like where they feel like the direction that they're headed is this year. I think those guys will be really, really good on that topic, the big picture stuff.
Yeah, and like, what makes you so confident in all their cases to come back and do this one more time? Because, you are putting tread on your tires, and at the college level with all guys who have like pro aspirations. But I remember in the spring, Gifford was saying, yeah, basically I have unfinished business, there's more out there to get. I see it. It can be had. I want to come back and be a part of it. When he answered that, it's in a setting of like a 5-minute interview, like after a practice. So it could be interesting to hear a guy like him, who I really think has he's just like the bulldog on this team to me. Like he's that, he's got that bite and that heart and soul on the defensive quality to him, where it'd be worthwhile to hear from him for 45 minutes to an hour, sort of expound on some of these topics about what he's seen previously during his time at Nebraska. Maybe won't want to get into all that, but like why now he feels so good about where it is to make this move to come back and do this again. And you could say the same for the other guys. Ty Robinson, certainly. And, Ben Scott, I think, wasn't as much a surprise that he returned, but that he's got an interesting outlook as somebody who just arrived to the program last year as a transfer. And so he gives sort of that vantage point. So yeah, it's a good crew. I think it's the right 3. You didn't overthink it at all. It's just guys who they could have done something else with their lives. They came back. Why not bring them? I think it's their first time for all of them at this event. And they're not going to say anything, I think, out of turn or out of bounds that you don't want to be said.
So you're down to the top 10 on the indispensable list here. Are those 3 all still in the top 10? I believe that's right?
Yeah, they're very high.
Yeah.
Let me see. I was just looking at the list. Yeah, 2 of them are 1, 2. Another one's in the top 5.
Yeah, not particularly surprising. I've enjoyed kind of going through. Like it's a good refresher. The indispensable list is a good
2,
kind of
3. 2, 3. I'm sorry. There's one who's not. There are 2, 3, and 6 on our list. There you go.
Okay, so yeah, I don't want to spoil your list, but I wonder where I wonder where a certain guy might end up on that. But
are you talking the QBs? He's not going to be as high as you think.
Oh, really? That's a good tease.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's where he should be right now. I feel really good about it. That's the best thing on the list I feel about is where he's at. He's coming up soon, as a matter of fact. Today's number 10, and it's going to be Jamal Banks. And I'll leave it there. But yeah, Dylan's coming up really quickly, and I feel I feel just fine about that. Haven't played a snap yet, but we're excited about it. It's like the perfect spot for him.
There's going through, like, if you go, you're 11 through 20 or 11 through 25, 11 through 30, whatever. Have you sensed that there is more? Like, I feel like, just comparing it to previous years anecdotally, there might be some more actual, like, oomph, like some production behind these guys, rather than, hey, they're going to need this guy to be good if they're good. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's maybe an illustration of how Nebraska's created a little bit more depth going into this year.
I feel definitely that way. It's the toughest list we've ever put together by far. It's like, you could basically, I did that honorable mention thing beforehand, so it strung it out to, like, here's 40 guys you could have put up there. And there's a guy, you could have some of the players who maybe some person would have ranked like 38th, then another person might say is 16th. I feel like that's different than it's ever been, where usually when we've done this list in years past, you've gotten to about the edge of it and you're like, yeah, maybe there's 2 or 3 names I feel kind of bad about, but you could kind of stop it there. I think I already said on the show, like, I felt bad that we didn't have Malcolm Hartzog on there immediately. Justin Evans, I feel that way. Like, for instance, we have Micah Mazuka at number 20. It definitely could happen, because if you look at if you just went off resume alone, you'd be like, man, he played all those snaps, had a good PFF grade at Florida, all this and that. I think there's a real battle on the interior to see who's what, like, I don't know for sure where that's going to come out. Like, I think Justin Evans and Latofsky are going to have a big say in it. And so you could have, we had Emmett Johnson on there, but didn't have Gabe or Ramir. You could get into a debate for a few minutes on which one's going to be the top of those guys, so I think in that way, it's probably different than it's been in years past. I do feel pretty good about the top 10. Like, I feel like now it kind of settles in where most people are going to kind of nod their head to it. Maybe they're going to think we have the QB too low. That's fine. But I think for the most part, and I'll say this about the QB spot. The reason why he's a little lower than some years, we have been burned a little bit on in the past. Yeah. But also, I think there's belief with our crew that Heinrich's developed into a nice, like, curveball or nice option that you have behind him. And we had Harper.
He came in like 20, right?
Yeah, he was on our list. So I don't think the way this Nebraska team is built and the way this list is structured, that, like, one guy not being out there for a little bit at that position means Nebraska can't go and get it done. Like, I think, when you kind of think of how this team is going to operate and the defense and what they're supposed to be and what you're asking of the offense, I feel they've got a couple quarterbacks who can get them to where they want to be. And that's, I think, why we have him a little lower. And he hasn't taken a college snap yet. So we kind of, I think, factored that in.
I assume you're joining the masses in the excitement over Nebraska basketball's upcoming non-conference schedule.
It's fine, like, I think it's sort of a wash with last year's when you really get down to it, because like when they went to Sioux Falls last year, they didn't get anything out of that game. That was nothing for them. This year, that'll be a huge game. Like, if you could put St. Mary's on your wall and have that one throughout the year, that is going to hold up pretty well, I would guess. Obviously, the game against CU will be big right around the same time. And then I think the trip to Hawaii, well, they won't have, I don't think, a quad 1 game within that. They might get a quad 2 or maybe 2 of them out of it. Which kind of evens out what they got out of that Kansas State win last year. So I'm comparing it a bit with what they did last year, and it seems similar to me. Of course, they got to also do what they did last year, and that's, you don't really have a margin for error. You can't have that. That was what was so good about that team, is they avoided that bad loss we all kind of joked about with Husker basketball. Like, people will throw out their incarnate word mention or something like that, or some team that stung Nebraska in the past. That didn't happen. So if they can keep their nose clean and they can put up like a 10-1 record or something like that, you did exactly what you did last season. But that's easier said than done, of course.
Yeah, I'll be like I'm gonna scoff at this and we'll make fun of it or whatever. But also, like, if you're a coach, you get the opportunity to put your schedule together the way you feel like it fits your team. And the fact of the matter is, Nebraska's got a lot of new faces, and it doesn't do that team any good to play 4 top 25 teams in the first, month of the season before you go into conference play. And it's a meat grinder the entire time. So all I'm saying is I get it. I don't know if obviously it doesn't leave much margin for error, but I do understand it. And it's not, like you said, all that far away from what they did a year ago.
I do think when you add in the conference games, you're going to end up with like a dozen or so quad one opportunities. So they're out there. They're just going to come later, and you're right. Like you've got a new roster sort of coming together. Now this is a different time in college basketball where these guys can play together all, the off season is so long, although some of them are out of country right now playing for their teams. But I don't mind the schedule, but again, you got to kind of replicate what you did a season ago. And I think we sometimes take for granted that that's easy. Like it's not. Like it's very simple that you can trip and fall one of those games, and then it's always on your resume for 4 months. So they have to avoid that again. And if they do, I think they'll be okay as they head to Big Ten play.
BC, good to chat as always. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. Yeah, I mean, we probably won't spend much time on Nebraska's non-con schedule. It's not good, especially the home slate. Like you want to try and reward the fans, whatever. It didn't come together for them. As far as that's concerned, you have the one neutral site game in Sioux Falls against St. Mary's, big deal, like BC just said, and then the game at Creighton. And your Diamond Head Classic is going to give you, I don't know. Yeah. Nah, not much. Nebraska's the only power conference. They're the only high major team in that field. So that's not really going to do much for you. You do have the 2 conference games that are going to be early as you always do, but obviously that's in conference. So your non-conference strength of schedule is going to be a problem. But like if Nebraska can find a way to win, every single one of those games that aren't the St. Mary's and the Creighton game, or hopefully win one of those 2, you're probably 11-1 or 10-2 coming out of the thing, and you feel fine about yourself and you're figuring yourself out, and then you see where it lands in conference play. Like it's not the worst thing in the world. Now, with that being said, if you're an 18, 19, 20 win team and you have a 500 Big Ten record and your non-con strength of schedule is 303, it's going to be hard, right? But ultimately, is it the best way to be able to get your team from an internal standpoint playing their best basketball at the right time? Probably. Externally, from a resume perspective, is it good? No. So you have to balance those.
I'm with you. It obviously you look at that slate and it's laughable, but
laughable, Josh says.
It doesn't really matter. Just go win the games, and then you've set yourself up going into conference play. I mean, look at the graphic that Nebraska released.
A graphic?
Fred Hoiberg is literally
scoffing
at the schedule.
Yes. And the words are illegible.
Illegible.
Not ineligible. Illegible. Come back. We'll have the odd news on the other side and some news that I'll throw in there regarding a certain quarterback of note.
Oh, I think I know where you're going, and I like it.
Coming back on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Congratulations to America's first family, the Mahomes.
Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift?
No, but they're about to be godparents.
They probably are, aren't they?
To third Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, the 10th. So they're having another child. 951-1620.
Congratulations to the Mahomeses.
So they have Sterling and bronze. So now what?
Oh yeah.
Could go a lot of different ways.
Platinum.
Any of your favorite medals? You could do that, or I mean, who gets to be Patrick Mahomes the fourth?
Great question. Now that is the real mystery.
Maybe it's gonna be that kid. So congratulations to the Mahomes. Yet again, another child. The first one came in 2022 or 2021. The next one came in 2022. And the next will be in 2025. So not that crazy of a run of children. But, 3 and 5 years, you're rolling. Pretty good. Congratulations, Pat. And of course, Brittany.
Couldn't be happier.
Odd news.
Did you watch the ESPYs last night, Connor?
Not a second.
Wow. Interesting. Charles in the chat. Tungsten Mahomes.
I like that.
We need a new tungsten arm O'Doyle.
We do. Tungsten arm Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's good, Charles.
The ESPYs did not hit the dismount last night, and it might all be President B's fault. Isn't everything nowadays?
So Charles said boron Mahomes. But for a second, I thought it said Baron Mahomes, and I thought they were going for a different thing.
Oh.
I think they might be interested in a little Baron Mahomes, if you know what I mean.
They got a little Baron Mahomes in them. Well, when you have that much money, you tend to care about Baron Mahomes. If there's anything sports fans have learned all too well over the years, it's that sometimes networks have a hard out to make room for the local news and other programming. And even if the game or event you're watching is coming down to its critical final moments, you're out of luck. Remember the Heidi game?
Yes. Famously.
That appears to have been the case for the ESPYs last night.
This also happens all the time.
It does happen It happened with the Billy Joel concert.
Yeah, I was triggered about that one. That was my Heidi game.
12 seconds of Billy Joel saying, "Good night, New York."
No, I missed the second half of Piano Man. What a disgrace.
Okay, that does seem like a bigger
They
deal.
had to replay the whole program the next night.
Well, the ESPYs got a late start thanks to President B's big boy press conference. And a hard out for the local news at 10:30 last night. Viewers in the Eastern and Central time zones, like right here in Omaha. The ceremony was in the middle of a video package about the 2023 Hawaii wildfire when it awkwardly cut to a different portion of the show about Prince Harry, winner of the Pat Tillman Award, a segment that aired an hour and a half ago at that point in the awards show. Had the ceremony been broadcast on ESPN, it likely would not have been an issue. But since it was on ABC, local affiliates had to start the local news at 10:30. I still don't know who won Best Team.
Really?
I don't.
I'll Google it for you.
I was watching it last night. The ESPY started late because President B wanted to show everyone that he can, in fact, talk into a microphone. And he did so publicly yesterday.
Oh, he did a great job, too.
He did a job.
He only made 2 mistakes.
I have no takes on the press conference. Merely that it happened.
Everybody's afforded a couple mistakes during a big boy press conference. What are we looking for? Best team?
What the hell are we doing? Yeah, best team. I believe it was South Carolina women's basketball.
It was indeed. Would you like to know some of our other winners?
I know most of them. The ESPYs are weird because they'll just give it to whoever shows up and not maybe the most deserving person in the category.
Best MLB player, Shohei Ohtani.
They announced that like days ago during the Dodgers-Phillies game.
Best NFL player, Patrick Mahomes.
That makes sense.
Best driver, Max Verstappen. Best
Really?
NBA player, Luka Doncic. Best athlete with a disability, Brenna Huckabee, snowboarding.
Yeah.
Best college athlete, women's sports.
Not Caitlin Clark.
No, it was Caitlin Clark.
It was?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. Best WNBA player, Asia Wilson.
Oh, okay, that's the one I watched where
Yes.
I was like, wait.
Best breakthrough athlete, Juju Watkins. Best championship performance, Jaylen Brown, not Jason Tatum.
People forget.
Pat Tillman Award for Service, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex.
That's right. Well, not anymore.
Former Duke of Sussex?
Former-
No, he's in. You
He
can't kick
gave
him
up
out.
all the titles. I had this debate with my wife last night. Like,
This
wait,
is in
you
your
can't
blood.
you cannot call him Prince Harry. He has a last name now. You have to use that.
Yeah, what is his last name?
She told
Worcestershire or something like that?
Windsor. I don't know. I don't remember.
Best athlete, women's sports, Asia Wilson.
That's the category.
Okay.
Where Caitlin Clark was nominated up against her, and I went, really?
Oh.
Caitlin Clark didn't win that?
So Caitlin Clark didn't. She won best college women's athlete.
Yes, and best record-breaking performance.
Don Staley won the Jimmy V Award for perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
Best play, Lamar Jackson catches his own pass.
I thought that was the worst of the four. I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
mean to like break down the ESPYs.
I
for
liked
everyone.
it. No, this is good. Arthur Ashe Award for courage, and he takes on Steve Gleason.
Love it.
Okay, I was going to say.
A little bit of humor injected into the speech, which was great.
Best men's athlete, Patrick Mahomes. Best record-breaking performance, Caitlin Clark, all-time scoring leader in NCAA basketball.
People forget.
People do forget that was not in Lincoln, Nebraska. Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award, Maui Surfing Community. Best comeback athlete, Simone Biles. Best team, South Carolina women's basketball. Best college male athlete, Jaden Daniels and his weird elbow. Best NHL player, Connor McJesus. Best UFC fighter, Sean O'Malley. Best boxer, Terrence Crawford.
I know him.
Best soccer player, Kylian Mbappe. Best golfer, Scotty Scheffler. Best tennis player, Coco Gauff. Those were the ESPYs. There you go. I read those, so you don't have to watch it.
What you need, this is what you do need to watch, Connor. You need to go on Twitter and you type in your little search engine.
Okay.
Nikki Glazer, Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, really?
Did
she do another roast?
She presented an award and told like 3 like rat-a-tat jokes about Scotty Scheffler, and they were all gold.
Cool.
So a little something for you during the break. Story number 2 in the odd news: truck spill of the week.
Good.
Transit officials in California said a stretch of highway was closed for several hours when a truck overturned its load. Connor, it is a food product. Would you like to guess?
All you're giving me is food?
Food.
And where was this located again?
California way.
Avocado toast.
No, do you want one more?
Yes.
There's a big debate whether this is a vegetable or a fruit.
Tomatoes?
That's right.
I was going to say grapes, so it would have been close.
Okay. Chips said that the truck overturned onto I-5 about 8:05 Tuesday
I'm not on a 5.
Lost its load of tomatoes onto the roadway and shoulder.
Lost its load of tomatoes.
Caltrans District 10, whatever the hell that is, said crews cleared the tomatoes from the center divide to give northbound traffic a chance to catch up. The cause of the crash was unclear, and the road was fully reopened by 12:30.
That's good. Glad they cleaned it up quickly.
And Connor, finally, I hit the ejector button on the 3rd story, and I swapped it out for a post from Message Board Geniuses.
Oh, good.
This is from Bruce Boy on the Auburn Live board.
All right. I imagine it's a little off topic from the Auburn board.
Yes.
Okay.
The title of the post is "How Fast I Gotta Run to Beat Coach Prime."
All right.
The post reads as follows: "How fast do you think I gotta run to beat Coach Prime in a race? He used to be fast, and I know he got less toes, but not sure if that helps or hurts. Even still, I think I could beat him. My buddy says no, and I say yes. I've been seeing him yapping on 3, and it's really been pissing me off."
What a conversation between 2 Alabama guys. Also, Well, I guess I don't know the stature of this person, but almost for sure that person could beat Coach Prime in a race.
I would think so.
He's kind of immobile.
I mean,
he needs a scooter to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in the best health.
Bruce Boy, I'm assuming you're under $4 bills. I think you could take him.
Yeah, I think so too. Just Coach Prime, and then he'd lose, and it'd be like my losses are judged differently than your losses.
I won the game of life.
James writes in on YouTube, beat him by a half a foot. No, we don't make fun of Coach Prime's feet.
We don't.
Okay, no feet jokes on this show.
No, wouldn't dare.
No. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. Noon hour is coming up. Sipple will join us at the bottom of the hour. We got hot seat rankings. We got Mr. Yogurt talking about roster limits. We also have a varying amount of updates from the brand new Costco.
Oh yeah, I got anything you want to know. I can get you.
Stay tuned. Coming back on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Noon hour, the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. It's a big day for our city. Not one, not two, but three Costcos. Live coming at you here in our great city of Omaha. I forgot to watch that Nikki Glaser clip that you told me to watch. Sorry.
It lives forever on the internet. It's fine.
True. I'll get there. So Josh's wife has been said to go on opening day. I mean, what a call. I got to see this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see it on opening day. I haven't seen any of the tweets, Josh. Tell me what's going on.
Well, my lovely wife decided to live tweet her experience.
How many updates do we have here? 4, 5,
6, 7.
Oh my, really?
A dozen. I got a dozen.
A dozen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, take me through the first 4.
All right. No line to get. This is an hour ago she started this. No line to get in. Plenty of carts. Plenty of staff.
Great.
No food samples at the entrance. Missed opportunity.
At the entrance, it's tough, though. I mean, you don't want to put them at the entrance. You want to back up the line getting in.
She tweets a photo of a table of clothes, and she says, look at these perfectly stacked clothes that no one has dug through yet. You know,
that is different than regular Costco's. Yes.
And then you wanted 4. This is the 4th one. Ran into the first person that I know. No lie. That took a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much a guarantee anytime you go to a Costco.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Let me weed out the other ones. 27.16 ounce jar of Kalamata olives for producer Josh. How quickly will he eat them? Over under 10 days.
Did she buy what? Wait, what?
She bought me a big jar of olives.
Okay. So maybe 2 or more things.
Okay.
So number 1, she bought the big jar of olives.
It sounds like it, yes.
Number 2, you eat olives, just olives out of the olive jar?
Yeah.
Do you have bad breath, Josh?
Probably.
I feel like olives would if you just sat there and ate olives, you would have horrible halitosis.
I mean, I also put them in salads, and
okay,
it's not just eating them out of the jar.
But you do dive into the jar and eat olives.
Yeah.
The green ones?
No, just the black ones. Kalamata olives.
Oh, okay. I don't know the difference. I know the one's green and one's black. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
So they're cut, or they're full olives?
Full olives.
What kind of person are you that you eat olives out of the jar? Does that say something about a man? Please let us know. 951-1620.
If that, put it in the chat if that says something about me.
I feel like it says something, but I'm not 100% sure what. Maybe you're a disgusting brother. I'm not sure.
It's possible. Maybe disgusting adjacent.
Eating stuff out of a jar is always odd to me.
Oh.
It's something about the jar.
Okay.
Although I have stuck my fingers into the pickle jar every now and then to get a slice.
It's the same idea.
Or a spear.
Uh-huh.
It is the same idea. So maybe I shouldn't cast aspersions.
Well, no, that's okay. You're just asking the questions. That's fine.
Does it fit? Is the olive jar too big to fit in the refrigerator door? That'd be my concern. Because you can't have that thing hanging on a shelf. It's too big.
I've never seen this jar of olives she's going to present to me.
Okay.
We've never done Costco olives.
A 20-ounce jar 27. Of olives. 27-ounce jar of olives.
She gets upset when she buys the jar of olives, and then I've gone through them in 4 or 5 days.
That's why you get them from Costco.
That's right.
Okay, just take me through the whole thing. What do we got?
Approaching checkout and feeling claustrophobic. And then finally,
pretty rough over there.
There's two final tweets here. Very manageable checkout. All in all, it felt like a Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Dodge location during the holidays.
Whoa.
So
that's not good. That is a bad review.
My sarcastic spirit made it a humorous experience, but the staff was incredible. They were everywhere and seemed genuinely happy.
Oh, I mean, that's always the case. I mean, shout out to our local, it's us. We are the problem.
We are the garbage people.
There's too many of us, and we're in a rush to get everywhere.
And then finally, this will segue into one of Connor's better takes. I haven't left the parking lot yet. That's a whole other experience because it is West Maple, but otherwise a great time at Costco.
Yeah, absolute garbage street. One of America's worst streets.
I cannot disagree.
One of America's worst streets. Only made worse by its extended growth into a place that used to be like 180th and Maple right there. It used to be the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. There was nothing out there. Now there's several restaurants of note, and the city is really connected on that street all the way out to 204th Street now. I mean, there's just stuff.
Yeah.
The poop house used to be the best thing that happened on West Maple.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the poop house is the poop house is there, but I don't think it says poop anymore.
I think they fixed that.
Which is really disappointing,
Sure,
actually.
yeah.
That used to be the draw to go to 192nd and Maple. Now you have to go to Costco. There is no more poop house. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably not from here.
That's right. So many poll questions coming out of this. Gotta open up multiple Twitter tabs.
Yeah. As I said on Twitter last night, this is what Josh is referring to in quote unquote one of my best takes. It had 70 unnecessary stoplights. Everyone goes 35, even though the speed limit is 45 and should be 60. It is one of America's worst streets. I firmly believe that.
Five-star take, no notes.
Of course, that is in front of the list. It's better than any major street in Lincoln. Those, of course, take the cake of about the top 10.
Okay.
Any street in Lincoln, but in the non-Lincoln major street division, West Maple beyond 108th Street is really climbing the charts very, very quickly.
I'm going to push it out west to about 144th.
Starting at 144th? I'm saying starting at 108th and going all the way west to 204th.
There are too many
the
stoplights.
whole stretch.
Yeah.
People are trying to go to Mulhall's on 120th. They're trying to turn off in various different directions. We have youth baseball fields. We have neighborhoods. We have businesses.
You're right.
We now have a Costco. We have horrible intersections. We have car washes. Somebody tweeted at me last night about the car washes. Great take by that person. Several unnecessary car washes that clog all of the roads because we got people waiting on the major arteries to get into the car washes or the coffee shops and the Targets. There's multiple Targets in this stretch of roads.
Yep.
Like it is hell. It's absolute hell.
There's a Walmart.
There's a Walmart. There's multiple golf courses. There is
that Hy-Vee ain't great.
No.
And
they're adding a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Just to add to it. They put in that Church's Chicken at 168th. That thing was out the door for months.
Yeah.
Cars
is wrapped on to
absolute
168th. Is
Banana Land. Yes, 168th. Banana Land. Banana Republic, as our dear friend Steve Sipple.
The poor employees have to park on the grass because they can't park in the lot because it's got 6 spaces in it.
It's tough. As a person who lives out that way, I got to deal with this pretty much on a daily basis. From the text line here, Pedro writes in.
Hi, Pedro.
Interesting call out here. Hi, guys. Costco is dead to me. No store east of 114th Street. I will never step foot in a Costco store. Sam's Club has stores in Omaha and Council Bluffs. Everywhere has a Walmart. Costco is an elitist store. Thank you.
Ooh.
Costco is probably an elitist store.
I mean, they won't even let me in.
They won't let you into Costco? Your wife has a membership. They'll let you in.
Will they let me in?
Yeah, you can go in with your family to go to.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. It's not like one membership per person, Josh.
I have an update from my wife.
You can, Josh, have you not gone to Costco out of fear that you weren't allowed to go in, even though your wife has a membership?
I've only been to 2 Costcos in my life. One was in Utah and one was in Minneapolis. I've never been to any Omaha Costco.
Weird.
I didn't think I was allowed to go.
Okay. What's the follow-up?
She did not buy the olives. Quote, I could not justify $10 olives that will disappear in less than 2 weeks. I mean, she's right.
How much are olives regularly in a regular size?
Not a clue. They just show up in my refrigerator.
Me and Josh are handshake beam on all this stuff. I don't know how much anything costs. I do go to the store. I do a lot of the shopping for my family.
Yeah, you always say like, hey, I gotta go to the store today. I gotta go to Costco today.
I've never cared about how much anything costs. I need to adjust that in my life. It's a character flaw that I have. But I just go to the store, I pick out what I like on the shelves, and I take it home. That's the story. And then when I want to go to the store again, I go back.
Definitely.
So the poll question up, by the way, at Happer Show: does a man eating Kalamata olives out of a jar say something about him? Our dear friend Ian texts us or Twitters us a picture of himself with said giant jar of Spanish. Well, these are Spanish Queen Olives, so those are the green ones.
But similar size jar.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. We're wondering if it says anything about Ian as well. And Dave says, follow-up, is any of it good?
I mean, probably not.
The eyes of the beholder, I suppose.
Also, pull question up at Happer Show. Do you miss the poop house?
I do. I do. Absolutely.
Early results, yes, is winning, by the way.
Not surprising.
Nah.
Not surprising. Hey, just quickly here, before we get to Troy Dannon quotes and then we talk to Sipple. So, Random Mike's favorite guy of all time. Who's Random Mike's favorite guy of all time?
Cam Kojal.
Exactly. He was in the transfer portal after spending last year at Vanderbilt. Where is he transfer portaled himself to?
Tell me.
He's Whoopig Suian next year.
Oh, hello.
He's Whoopig Suian. Still in the SEC.
Good landing spot.
And he's going to be an Arkansas Hog man. So congratulations to him.
Omaha.
He's going to be an Omaha. But they should probably work on making it to Omaha more.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's just my personal advice to them. Troy Dannon from the story on The Athletic by Mitch Sherman. Mitch caught up with him yesterday. So roster limits. Another thing that's getting talked about. Here's a couple quotes on those. I'll read you this part from Mitch. More important than the number at which terms of the settlement cap rosters, Dannon said, are the details. For instance, current rules do not cap rosters in the offseason. But when preseason camp opens, rosters are, limited to 120 players, which has risen in recent years from the fall 110. Quote, the deeper question is it a 365-day-a-year number, or is it going to be governed and regulated like it is today? The idea is that if this school is scholarshiping 120, then I have to scholarship 120. I think that's a fallacy. To think that your program is going to be better because you're hoarding talent between 85 and 120, if the transfer portal has shown anything, it's shown that kids are going to some place where they have a chance to play. So long story short here is Dannon, even though Nebraska's roster is gigantic and, people will look at it and they'll say, hey, we got to go from 150 to 120. I mean, like Dannon mentioned, people forget, he basically said this, people forget that the roster already gets cut down to 120. You can only take 75 on the road for Big Ten games. And so there's already kind of limits in place. I think basically what he's saying is, look, man, we'll be nimble. We can prepare for this. We'll be fine whichever way this kind of turns out. I think what they were really concerned about is having that number capped at 80 or 75 or 85 or 90 even. So that's the type of stuff that would cut off the legs of a program like Nebraska that is really big on the walk-on program and development from that 85 to 120 range. But if we're talking about, capping it at 120, I think what he's saying is basically, what's the difference? What's the difference that we have right now? Because, you might say, oh, look, well, Georgia is going to go out and they're going to recruit the best 120 players in the country instead of the best 50 players in the country to play. Well, nobody's going to want to go to Georgia between 50 and 120 on your roster because those guys are really good players and they want to go somewhere where they can play. And if there's 50 players better than them on the roster, they're going to go somewhere else, right? That exists now. that exists now in the world that we have. So I think that was pretty calming, I think, from his standpoint. And then there was the football staff part, which I thought was relatively interesting as well. And Dannon talked about Nebraska's kind of approach to this. And keep in mind, this is more of Matt Rhule's approach rather than Dannon's approach. It's Dannon's approach in tandem with Matt Rhule. But where's the idea coming from? It's Rhule. I don't know if you guys have heard this. Matt Rhule's got takes on stuff. He's got thoughts.
Oh, does he?
He's got ideas.
Oh.
Yes. So Mitch writes, Nebraska employs approximately 75 football staffers, including 6 analysts and quality control assistants. Dannon says, quote, I don't know that it means we're adding any more bodies. It codifies what was already happening. It allows everybody to be a coach. In theory, a school could set up, this is just Mitch. In theory, a school could set up a quote recruiting house, as Dannon labeled it, of specialists who gather talent but leave the coaching to on-campus staff. Dannon said, if you ask the athletes, they want to be coached by the people that recruit them. And I think Nebraska is obviously going to take that approach. Like Rhule has talked about this a little bit before. Nebraska is going to be a place where you come on as a young person on the staff, you do recruiting work, like you do the low-level kind of analyst work. It's important stuff. And as we graduate assistants out and they take coordinator jobs and they take head coaching jobs and they take NFL jobs, Nebraska will be a place where you can rise up through the program.
You got to rise up.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Josh. You got to rise up. And Nebraska is a place that they want it to be a place where the coaches can kind of go through the system and they could develop coaches as well as developing players. Nebraska will not be a place where they go out and overbloat their staff with $200,000 former head coach 60-year-old analysts because they feel like it'd be great to have that kind of experience and whatever on their coaching staff. Nebraska will also not be a place that has this entire separate building, like kind of like NFL teams do, right? They're not talking about recruiting, but they have player personnel, scout, that type of thing, rooms, and then they feed that into the actual football part. I think some teams will do that. I think some teams will say, all right, great. We'll put all of our new resources that we can use on all these assistant coaches into recruiting. We'll have a gigantic recruiting department. We'll have those people recruit. They can go out and recruit, and then they will feed the players to the coaches. And what Dannon said was, once again, quote, if you ask the athletes, they want to be coached by the people that recruit them. And I think Nebraska will continue to be a program that has its coaches work really hard at both recruiting and on the field coaches because they like that synergy from top to bottom, right? If you're being recruited by somebody different and then you get on campus and you're coached by somebody different, I don't know. That doesn't sound all that appealing to me either, but I'm not an 18-year-old recruit and I'm not, getting paid to play football, which these football players are. So
people forget.
I think the point is here, it's great to see that Nebraska has an approach, right? All of these things are just ideas right now, and it's getting closer and closer to being a reality. But it's always been striking to me about how prepared Nebraska is for future changes. How much does that help them once the thing, whether it's NIL or roster limits or coaching staff unlimited, resources there, like how much does it help give you an advantage when that is already in place? Probably not much. But the fact that Nebraska could take these things and they could hit the ground running, they already have an idea of what they want to do and how they want to do it, and it fits the identity and brand of their program. I love that. And you know who that all comes from. That'd be the headman. That'd be the guy yelling, "If we die, we die!" That's that guy. He might be a psycho, but he's got takes. He's got ideas. He's got thoughts.
He's a contained psycho.
Oh, yeah.
He's not like, I don't know.
Mike Gundy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, not like that at all. Not even like that. Not even like that a little bit, really. A couple thoughts on olives here.
Oh,
John emails in.
Hi, John.
If they are green olives, a 27-ounce jar wouldn't make it 2 weeks at my house. If they're in my fridge, I eat them. Wow. Olive guy.
It's just a nice little, I'm walking by. Pop, pop.
Jason and Pender. Wow. My wife and daughter are driving an hour and a half to go to that stupid store opening today. She better come up with a 5-pound bin of peanut M&Ms. Oh, they got those.
I was told that the Disney Halloween decorations are up, and they have Wagyu beef at $60 a pound.
Hello. Watch out. Yippee says that's how you know you made it in life, Happer. You don't even check the price tags. You just swipe the card. No. Like I said, this is a personality flaw. I am not rich. You have to understand.
He should.
I am making a horrible mistake.
Yeah, he should be price checking and comparing.
I'm just bad with money. Yeah. All right. We'll be back. It'll be good to talk to Mr. Sipple. Stephen M. joins us next on 1620 The Zone. Oh, I thought we were going to get a late shot from Sipple there. Maybe he'll text me in a matter of 3 minutes and he'll say, "You can call now. I'm good." We were playing our own little game. He just texted me. He said, "Ready." We were playing our own little game of fake Sipple earlier, and I thought, I wonder what Sipple thinks about the potential, the addition of grass to Memorial Stadium. And I said, "Here's what I think he'd say. It's not, Hap, I don't really, I don't know if I do those things. It's not in my purview." That's what I thought. Maybe. So there's your on the fly fake Sipple of the day as he joins us now on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline. Hi, Sip.
What was that you're just doing?
What do you think about grass at Memorial Stadium?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah. I mean, it's in fact, I couldn't be more excited, actually. I think it's one of the coolest things that will happen to that program in a long time.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm not joking around at all.
They got a 5-star quarterback. Did you hear?
That's true. That helps. But he comes and goes. Those players come and go. The grass stays.
It does. So I would have once again got the fake Sipple wrong because we were out in the hallway just doing an impromptu fake Sipple earlier, and I was talking about asking you that question. I said, "I don't know. I don't think it's not really in my purview, Happer. I don't think about those things." But apparently you do. Wrong.
My purview.
You would say that. You would say purview.
No, I honestly, I think it's incredible. It's incredible that they're gearing toward it, which has become pretty clear. I love that. I love it.
Okay, good. Simple. I was we haven't talked about Monty Kiffin today, but I wanted to kind of wait and ask you about obviously his history within the Nebraska program. I was thinking about it a little bit last night, and his he was passed up for the job when Osborne got it, stuck around, and that was kind of underscored, most of the Osborne era. They didn't have a lot of assistant turnover and stuff like that. Like, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think about Monty Kiffin, the architect of so many great defenses?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is it all started in Nebraska. His career started in Nebraska. It was 1966. He became a GA, and then worked his way into the defensive coordinator position, and then had an incredible, really, really incredible NFL run where he became an innovator. I don't like to say he's the creator of the Tampa 2. You might be able to say that. It's a little more complex than that, I think. But he's credited with the Tampa 2, which was designed basically to combat West Coast offenses. So he's, I would say, incredibly innovative was incredibly innovative as a defensive coach. What really comes to mind too is think about the Devaney staff that had Tom Osborne as the offensive coordinator and Monty Kiffin as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about Tom Osborne, I always like to say it because I like to put it in people's heads so they remember. He called plays for 5 national title teams. So you had Tom doing that. And, and anybody who's old enough can remember Tom calling plays and finding a play calling rhythm. And how many times do you even see that anymore? Where you're watching a game and you say, "Oh, that guy found a rhythm." You do. That happens, but it happened a lot with Tom. And then you have Monty, who's, an incredible defensive mind on the same staff, and with one of the best head coaches of all time. So there's no support. So in that regard, Nebraska's success during that period, not all that surprising. They had Hall of Fame coaches at the 3 most important spots. Bona fide, no doubt, Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Steve Sipple joins us on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline. Steve Sipple, he of Husker Online. So we've been able to kind of gather some more information this week. What do you like about John Butler, Nebraska's new secondary coach?
Well, I like the fact he's a seasoned coach in this situation. In the context of the current situation, I think it's real. I'm older, so I think I would say that experience does matter in a lot of cases. And I think in the context of this situation, him taking over the secondary on January 8th July 8th or whenever the hell he started. He started on Sunday.
Yeah.
Whatever that date was, so close to camp. So, July 31st is when they start their preseason camp. So you need a seasoned dude that can step in that situation, because it's a mega challenge from a, he's got to learn a defense. Now, I don't think that is necessarily unwieldy for a 51-year-old who's seen it all, but he's got to learn the vernacular, which is it's not going to be a situation where he comes in and says, hey, this is the way I term things. I don't know how you guys do it, but this is the way
Right.
He's got to learn a new language, and then he's got to impart that language to a bunch of guys he doesn't know, the players. So that's all very challenging with not much time left before camp. And then by the way, you're stepping into a defense that expects to be good. We expect it to be good. More importantly, they expect it to be good. The players expect it to be good. The coaching staff expects it to be good. He can't be a hiccup. He's got an excuse, but he's not a guy that uses excuses, because look at his resume. Look what he's done with the Bills. The last 6 years as their secondary coach, that secondary has been a strong suit for the Bills. So yeah, he's 51 years old. He's coached, he's been in the NFL now for a while. I think his last college job was 2013 at Penn State. That's the only drawback I see, because the world has changed so much in college since 2013. So there's going to have to be some adjustment. And I don't know what kind of recruiter he is. So, but anyway, no, I'd say Rhule. I don't only say he got lucky. He got lucky in the sense.
It fell into his lap though a little bit, right?
Yeah, kind of did. And I would say Rhule got lucky in the sense that this guy wasn't working. So.
Right. A lot's been made about his style this week. What have you learned about that and how it sort of jives with Rhule in particular?
Well, he's very demanding. He's no nonsense. He's probably not the type that's going to get too friendly with guys and coaches. There's different. I wrote this in our deal today. There's different ways to skin a cat. I don't mind coaches that kind of get friendly with players, but I don't think this is one that will do that. Cooper wasn't one, and that's one way that this might help the transition, because Cooper was hardcore with the players, hard teacher, not a lot of compliments, and it took a while for the kids to adjust to that, because Travis Fisher was that way. He was a very kind of, he was more apt to become friends with a player or two or three or whatever, where Cooper wasn't. And I don't think this guy will either. I don't think this guy will be that way either. So in that way, the adjustment might not be quite as difficult, but it is an adjustment for everybody.
Are you happy that they didn't listen to the masses and take away your not Jake, but your other co-host in the morning to go coach at Nebraska?
Well, mixed emotions, because I think Bill belongs in big time college football.
Yeah,
he's proven himself in that regard. His resume is incredible, really, and I would have been happy for him. But yeah, we have a lot of fun on the show, so that would have been lost. But I guess mixed emotions on that one.
It seems like he definitely wants to coach, though, right? From what I saw the clip that you guys put out, it seems like he definitely wants to coach.
Yeah, I think it has to, at this point in his life as a 58-year-old. He's not going to take anything, and he's turned down jobs.
Right.
And I know I don't know all. I know I'm privy a little bit, but he doesn't tell me a lot, to be honest. But I know it will have to be a good job. I think he really likes, he's been away a lot. He had his little stint here at Nebraska, his latest stint, but he's been he was LSU, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Utah, Northern Arizona. I mean, he's been in so many spots, and he likes being back here with his family. So it's not going to be, he's not going to just take any job. I'll tell you that right now.
What is the significance of Nebraska naming 1890 their official NIL, correspondent?
You could do a whole hour on that. You could. I mean, it's gigantic. I don't know. Some of it I don't completely understand, except it's Nebraska kind of moving the operation in a sense in-house already, in that, donors get priority points. It's hooked to priority points, which is cutting edge. I mean, I can tell you right now, there are football programs, athletic departments all over the country looking at Nebraska and going, God, they figured this out. We got to figure it out. If you're a Nebraska fan, if you look at it and study it, you would come away saying, man, Nebraska was cutting edge in so many areas for so many years, strength and conditioning, nutrition. And now look at Nebraska again. For a while, they haven't been cutting edge to anything, I don't think, for a while. But maybe nutrition. But this is an example. Nebraska's in great position right now in terms of their NIL. And now it's more, now with the acknowledgement that they're the official NIL collective, it makes it easier. It's more streamlined. There's visible unity, which there wasn't a couple.
Yeah. It's definitely really, because I think, people often get confused, and they'll listen to our show, and they'll call us, and they'll be like, hey, we keep hearing that Nebraska has this like top notch and they're in great position and from an NIL perspective. But I think they get that confused with the actual like money that they're throwing around. I think when we say that Nebraska is in, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Sipple. Like when you say that Nebraska is in great position, it's positioned itself well from an NIL perspective. What are we really talking about? Like, are we talking about them being in like just in ahead of the curve? They've figured things out before other schools have.
Well, yeah, just the example of hooking donations now to priority points for donors. I mean, that takes care maybe of a little donor fatigue where people say, why am I giving this money?
Yes.
I don't get anything back from it, really. Well, now they do. Or they can write it off. So there's that, but it's more than that. What Nebraska has, and I don't know why I don't know why people don't recognize it. Their organization is ahead of a lot of people, mainly because the Pede family and really Sandhill. So in addition to 6 full-time employees at 1890 Nebraska, you have this operation every day at Sandhills that devotes 12 to 15 people to it. Web design, legal, accounting. I mean, come on, not everybody has that.
Yeah.
And that's just the Pede family and Sandhills Publishing being so deeply involved. The Pede family, and we're talking about billionaires, okay? I mean, but having the Pede family is like having T. Boone Pickens be actively involved, on a daily basis. So, T. Boone Pickens was a big donor at Oklahoma State that everybody knew, but he was very he had a very high profile. The Pedes keep a very low profile. But they keep a really low profile, but I don't know what would happen in Nebraska if the Pedes ever left the scene.
Yeah, I think the key difference there is like it seems. I guess this is from the outside looking in at T. Boone Pickens. Like he was like throwing money at stuff, right? And I think in the Pedes case, it's more like, well, we have money, yes, but we have resources and we have some of the infrastructure, and we're going to use that to our advantage. Like that's where Nebraska is really trying to make a difference here. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, and then just, from a pure ability to pay players, Nebraska's in good shape. I mean, they're going to be able to handle the $22 million in-house, the in-house price, which is important, but also still have 1890. And I imagine 1890's got about $15 million available is what is about what I've heard. And I don't mind saying that on the radio. They're in that range. So yeah, Nebraska, what I always say is that the collective for Nebraska, the 1890 Nebraska would be the least of Nebraska's problems right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing to worry about. There's other things that would hold them back than that. Trust me.
All right, Sipple. Great to talk as always. Enjoy your weekend. You doing anything this weekend?
Working.
Interesting.
I got to write, and I'm working today, and I'll probably work tomorrow. I don't know, Sunday. Just try to stay cool, I guess.
You work to stay cool. I like that. That's productive.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Ride the hog.
Yeah, there you go. Take the hog out, just at least for a little bit. Don't get too hot, though.
I won't.
See ya.
Thank you. See you later.
Steve Sipple, HuskerOnline.com. There you go. Got him to take the hog out.
That's what we were looking for.
Yeah.
That's why we asked that question.
I usually ask him if he's going to take the hog out directly.
No one's going to check if you did or didn't. Just tell us you're taking the hog out. So,
text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
Man about age 57 gets out of truck and dances at stoplight. Sipple, Steve Sipple, is that you? I am, like, I always think that I have Sipple pretty well read, like I kind of understand what he's going to think about things and all that stuff. His reaction to the grass thing genuinely shocked me.
He was ecstatic.
He was so fired up.
Over the moon.
Even though, Mustache Adam tweets and he says Sip being more excited about grass than a player is so on brand. And it's on brand for him to be excited about that, but I did not think he would have that reaction. Like Sip, a lot of the time, some of this ancillary stuff is like, yeah, I don't know. We got to think about really in the grand scheme of things, how much stuff like this matters.
Just play the game.
Yeah, I think we think about this, too much. Like he's got bigger fish to fry. That's usually the
players come and go.
Grass will be there forever. It's a great call by you. It's like, yeah, they got a 5-star quarterback. Simple. He said it's the biggest thing to happen to Nebraska in years.
Yeah, in a while. Yeah. Like, well, I don't know.
Love that guy. Absolutely. That's my reaction to every time we talk to him. Every time. Love that guy. All right. We will come back. If you have any reaction to what Sipple was talking, we could talk about NIL, I guess, a little bit. People always want to talk about NIL.
It is July after all.
And it is indeed July. So that's what you talk about in July. You can do that. Hit us up for 429511620. First, a reminder before we take a break that you could join the VIP club and sign up for 1620 the email. You'll be the first to know about all the exciting things. We'll have some very exciting things coming up later on in the late summer and the fall for 1620 the Zone's 25th anniversary. Hello. So you're going to want to sign up for 1620 the email. There'll be some cool content coming out from that. So get signed up on our website right now, 1620thezone.com.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Who's on the hot seat? Who's going to get canned this year? Well, here's your most likely candidates according to CBS Sports Dennis Dodd.
Sam Pittman.
He's the top one, number 5. He is like he's got a 5 rating. So they do this 0 to 5, I believe. 0 untouchable, 1 safe and secure, 2 all good ... for now. 3 pressure is mounting, 4 start improving now, or 5 win or be fired. And Mr. Pittman, Mr. P, is the only coach in the country who has escalated his seat to a warmth level of 5 going into this season, according to Dennis Dodd. Writes,
not great.
If you just want to sit around, shoot the bull, and have a beer, Sam Pittman's your guy. This salt-of-the-earth coach is one of the most beloved figures in the profession, but winning percentages rule all, and in the hyper-competitive SEC, the 4-8 mark in 2023 doesn't cut it. That tied for the program's worst record since 2013. It's beyond coincidental that the last coach to win big at Arkansas, Bobby Petrino, was hired as offensive coordinator. If athletic director Hunter Yurachek makes a move, he's got a built-in interim coach. Maybe more than that.
Oh, hello.
That would be funny. Now, that's a funny blurb. I was not expecting that, to be honest with you. Really? They're going to hire Bobby Petrino again? Amazing. That would be awesome. I would love that a lot. Billy Napier, Dave Aranda, Clark Lee, Kalani. Yeah, Dave Aranda is slipping a little bit. Remember he was on the.
Remember he was going to be Nebraska's head coach.
He was on the wheel. Dave Aranda was hot 2 years ago. In the last 2 years, well, I mean, I guess last year he went 4-8. What did they do last year? Let me make sure. Hit me with this Wikipedia, baby. 3-9.
Oh,
3-9.
I don't think I realized that. I knew it was a down year, but that's
so. End of 2021, they were 12-2. They won the Sugar Bowl. They finished in the top 10. 2022, they went 6-7, but it's like, oh, well, come on. They went from 2-7 to 12-2. Like, what are you going to believe? Well, what an odd 4 years Dave Aranda's had at Baylor.
Starting to look like the good year was the outlier.
2-7, 12-2, 6-7, 3-9. You can cover the whole gamut. Keep him there a couple more years. So he's at a 4, along with Billy Napier, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, Kalani Sitake at BYU, Sonny Cumbie. He was here last year coaching La Tech. Stan Drayton at Temple, Mike New at Ball State, and Will Hall at Southern Miss. Sorry, you fired. Or you're about to get fired. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, before I get into like a take about this here in a second, who are the 13 untouchable coaches in America?
Untouchable.
Untouchable is a strong word, Josh. Untouchable? Is there really an untouchable coach?
Well, Mike Gundy seems pretty untouchable. I don't know if he's in that category on that list, but
let's take a look. The untouchable coaches in America.
He keeps asking to be touched, and
they have declared Mike Norvell an untouchable coach.
Okay.
Mike Norvell, they went undefeated last year.
Yeah.
People forget they did not make the college football playoff. Would it surprise you to hear that Kirby Smart is untouchable?
It would not surprise me at all. I'll bet Dan Lanning is probably somewhere around this list.
Would it surprise you to hear that Lance Leipold is untouchable?
No.
Would it surprise you to hear that Chris Kleiman is untouchable?
No.
Jamie Chadwell at Liberty. I mean, they're not going to fire him at Liberty, right?
They'll just let him leave.
Jeff Brom at Louisville. People forget about Jeff Brom. All of a sudden took over at Louisville last year and went 10-4.
Got it working over there.
Was in the mix for the playoff at the end. They did the same thing again this year. They're probably a playoff bound-ish team. And of course, he's a Louisville alum. Brian Kelly, my family.
Okay, yeah.
0. Lane Kiffin. 0.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning, as predicted by young Josh.
Oh, all right. Got one.
Steve Sarkisian. Untouchable.
Okay.
Toledo's Jason Candle. Did you know that Toledo's coach is named Jason Candle?
I did not. Now, please keep in mind my knowledge of Toledo very, very minimal.
It's a good name.
They're one of the worst teams on the stupid video game.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Candle's not going to get fired anytime soon, though. He's untouchable. Jeff Traylor at UTSA and Kyle Whittingham, who was already named his successor at Utah, is also untouchable.
Okay, I must have had them confused with someone else.
Yeah, I was going to say, Toledo was in the conference title game last year.
11-3 last year.
Matt Rhule, for the record, is a 1. Safe and secure, like 43 other FBS coaches around the country. Safe and secure. So here's my theory that we just kind of got done talking about it tangentially, I guess, with Sipple. My guess is in this world where everybody's kind of got to be nimble and nobody knows what's on the horizon, even though we're starting to get a better idea of it. Maybe just obviously this doesn't really pop up anecdotally because like guys are going to get hired and fired and whatever every year. But maybe we just see a little bit less of it. And these are all conversations that happen around, behind closed doors and around the end of the season, like making decisions whether to fire a guy or whether to keep a guy. They happen way more than gets out there. But a lot of the times, what you see is what you get. And so the conversations that we have are similar to the conversations that are being had to the ones that are behind closed doors. But I'm curious to see how teams handle the idea of paying buyouts and contracts and how quick they are on the trigger. And honestly, coaches' contracts, right? Like, it's always going to be competitive, and we've gone past the point of no return in terms of like, hey, we're going to have $8, $9, $10 million coaches a year. It's a very, very important thing. Their jobs are really difficult. They have to work 365 days a year. It's not just coaching football, it's recruiting, and it's all the rest. But I wonder if you'll see more of an opportunity for younger coaches to continue to make their way up through the sport. Like Nebraska is going to give coaches that opportunity when they have 1,000 people on their football staff. And because of that, we'll see the emergence of some younger up-and-coming coaches. We've seen a little bit of a trend toward younger full-time coaches, whether they're coordinators or head coaches at the college level now. And I talked about earlier how there's been a little bit of a changing in the guard. And, there's no Urban Meyer, there's no Nick Saban, there's no Jim Harbaugh. Like, I just wonder the effect of all that it'll have on movement of coaches. There will always be some of it, right? But are we past the days of like insane firings and crazy coaching carousels and stuff like that? If we look at the hot seat undoubtedly these won't be the only people who get fired this year. But if you look at the coaching carousel and what it could look like late this fall, Arkansas, Florida, Baylor, Vanderbilt, BYU, those are the only major ones, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no gigantic. So I kind of wonder how that thing will develop going forward. Somebody will put their name in there. Don't worry. And somebody will get fired because they did something very stupid and not just for losing games. That'll always happen. All right. Games. We will come back with more. The Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. right, we got a good one going on at the Wimbledon.
Get your strawberries and cream out.
What's that supposed to mean?
They serve strawberries and cream at Wimbledon.
Is that what they serve?
Yeah, the
strawberries and cream.
When you tweet hashtag Wimbledon, the emoji that's next to it is a strawberry.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me do hashtag Wimbledon.
It's a thing, Connor.
Wimbledon. Is it Wimbledon 2024 or just Wimbledon?
I believe it's just Wimbledon.
I don't want to do a test tweet.
Oh, do the test, Connor. You can delete it right after.
All right. Hashtag Wimbledon. Nope, that didn't do anything. You lied. Josh lied. People died.
I synced it.
Is it on hashtag Wimbledon or is it hashtag Wimbledon 2024?
I did Wimbledon 2024 and nothing came up. Interesting.
Maybe you're a liar altogether.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I'm leaving my Wimbledon tweet up.
Here, this tweet from Wimbledon, I'll send it to you. They did it and it worked.
It did hashtag Wimbledon?
Yeah, and I don't know what we did wrong, but maybe they just constantly put the strawberry. You think they're putting that in there by hand? I don't think so.
Welcome to hashtag Wimbledon, Rohit Sharma. It looks like a regular tweet to me. I don't see any emojis.
The hell are you talking about?
I don't know, man. Now I'm confused.
You don't see the strawberry next to that?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Strawberry. Wow. I never thought Wimbledon and strawberries. Strawberries and cream, as Josh said.
That's right. Yep, it's a good one. Joker.
My Wimbledon tweet did not do that for me, sadly. But yes, Novak Djokovic against Lorenzo Musetti of Italy. It's 2-0 right now, and Novak has won 6-4, 7-6, and is looking for the sweep in straight sets. See, I know about the tennis. Did you know my tennis background? I have a great tennis background.
Yeah, you knew like the things that they serve at the stadiums.
No, I don't know that. That's what I don't I don't know about the strawberries and cream. One of my uncles or great uncles or grandparents, brothers or something like that. He's like the tennis man.
That's right.
He's like tennis.
We've looked this up before.
He is tennis. So don't tell me that I don't know tennis. I am of tennis.
Pull question up at Happer show. Do you know about the strawberries and cream?
Okay. There you go.
Oh, should have hashtag Wimbledon.
Hashtag Wimbledon.
But it's not working. We tried it.
Not working for me anyway. Maybe I'm cheating because I'm on my tweet deck. Don't tell anybody though.
Whoa.
They don't like it when you have tweet deck. Elon's not listening. I hope. Paul Skenes. Do you want to have the classic argument, Josh, of do you take a guy out when he's throwing a no-hitter?
I mean, he wasn't going to finish that no-hitter.
So there could be, here's the thing that we've learned about sports takes, right? Nuance does not exist.
Right.
I would say that generally I am on the side of when a guy's throwing a no-hitter, let him throw, baby. Let him see if he can finish it. And to a certain extent, would I have liked to see him go out for the 8th? Sure. He's at 99 pitches, and he's rolling. And so I think it would have been not at all a misuse of your biggest resource, literally, Paul Skenes, to have him go out there and try and finish it off a no-hitter. However, am I mad that Derek Shelton took him out? No, I'm not. He said, and here was his reasoning for it, by the way. Did you see what he said after the game?
I didn't actually.
He just said, I just felt it. I just looked at him. He looked tired. I took him out.
Manager managing with his gut.
He was managing.
It was a 1-0 game, so any mistake by Skenes could have cost them the game as well. So
yes,
another reason to take him out.
So this man that we have is he joins Nolan Ryan, Paul does, as the only pitchers ever with multiple starts of 6+ innings and no hits and 11+ strikeouts in the same season. Remember, he's done this in his first 11 major league starts. Nolan Ryan did it in 1973. Paul Skenes is now the starter for the National League in the All-Star game, which will be in hot, sunny Texas, hopefully with the dome on top.
Yeah, they can close that thing.
They'll shut it down. Currently, once again, through 11 starts.
That's it.
11 major league starts, is 6-0 with a 1.90 ERA, 66 innings. He's struck out 89 people and walked only 13. And his team is 8-3 in his starts, and he has not lost a single one of them. Over his last 5 starts, his last 6 starts, he's thrown at least 6 innings, given up no more than 6 hits, and struck out no less than 7. He's a freak. He's a freak of nature. And I think we need to talk about this guy more. And not like, oh, he's dating Livy Dunn. That's so cool. That's so sick, man. You get to go home and hang out with Livy Dunn.
Over that.
No, he is an incredible talent, an incredible baseball player. And I know what Josh is going to say. Josh is going to say, well, guess what? I'm just waiting for his elbow to explode. He's too big and he throws too hard. I'm just along for the ride, Josh. I'm just along for the ride.
See, you've misconstrued my take.
You always say, oh, well, his elbow's going to explode.
Enjoy it before he's going to be out for a year. Like, enjoy it.
Oh, okay. I mean,
because every Paul Skenes stat we've ever read is crazier than the one we read before. He's a little like Tony Gwynn in that way. Like, I understand he's only 11 starts, but every Tony Gwynn stat you hear goes, that's impossible.
Yeah.
What you're saying to me is impossible.
No way. And so, obviously, if he does this over the length of his career, he'd be the greatest pitcher of all time.
Mm-hmm. How could he not be?
I was looking at his baseball reference page today, Mr. Skenes.
Quick read.
Yeah, not much going on there, obviously. But he's the 8th youngest player in baseball as it stands right or maybe 8th youngest player in the NL from what I'm looking at. He's got the All-Star game. He is already in the top 4 in the NL in pitcher WAR. Remember, he made his debut on May 11th. He is 4th in the NL in adjusted pitching wins. Remember, he missed probably 3 to 4 starts that he could have had in the early portion of the season while he was in the minor leagues pitching at Warner Park. They also have
the Chasers scored the first MILB run on him.
They scored runs against him. Then they have the Hall of Fame stats corner.
What's his comp?
So he's already at a 3. And a likely Hall of Famer gets him, you got to be at about 100 in this metric that they use on Baseball Reference. So Paul Skenes has already accomplished 3% of a Hall of Fame career. I'd say it's pretty good. I'd say it's pretty good, Josh.
I read you a stat during one of our breaks earlier in the show. I will read it to the audience now. Paul Skenes made his season debut on May 11th. That would be the 4th latest season debut of any player to start in an All-Star game, and the latest by a pitcher.
And
the other 3 people to have debuted as late as him or
who
later,
are there?
Joe DiMaggio.
He had a 56-game hitting streak. I don't think that'll ever be touched.
People forget. Ted Williams.
Pretty good. Frozen head.
George Brett.
Very good.
End
Potty
of list.
mouth.
Yes.
Likes to poop his pants in Vegas.
And yell at umpires.
Yell at umpires, yell at really whoever was around him. That's for sure.
Bit of a hothead.
So, yeah, I think you could put the whole shortest time between day of being drafted to starting the All-Star game thing, like whatever it is for him, which is 390 days or something like that. That is going to be a record that stands. Now, it won't be as flashy as Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, but that's going to be a record that stands up for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of these are very wordy.
Yeah. Don't worry. We'll once he gets a full season in there, I mean, he's not going to go like undefeated in his career, but he's been nothing but dominant. I don't get
dominant, like not like, oh yeah, he's taken the league by storm and nobody can figure him out. Nope, he's just hurling it right on by you.
Jeff writes in on the text line.
Hi, Jeff.
Says, I think you guys are the official fan club of Paul Skenes. Definitely fanboying.
Sure.
Not like, I guess so, but this is kind of my point.
We're the baseball show.
Why aren't people talking about this? This doesn't happen.
Because he plays for the Pirates.
He was the number 1 pick 13 months ago. 13 months ago.
He was a batter 2 years ago.
He was a cadet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's only, getting better from what it seems like at this point. So, yeah, I'm happy that he's going to start the All-Star game. I think it's well-deserved. And I wanted to point out how incredible his career has been so far.
He has a job, unlike Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, I saw this. The Phillies, your Phillies, Josh.
No,
your
shut
Phillies
your mouth.
Released Whit Merrifield.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the Royals will pick him up, or maybe that bridge was burned a couple years ago.
I mean,
maybe
there's always Kansas City East, the south side of Chicago.
Okay, that's actually very true. That's where he's going to be. Yeah, he's going to play for the White Sox. Jeff follows up. He says,
Jeff,
I mean, because to my question of why don't we talk about this more? I mean, because it's baseball, only baseball nerds like you care.
I mean, yeah, that's us.
Sure. All right. Quick timeout here. We will come back. More up next on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Question for Pedro.
Question for Pedro.
From Pedro. Hi, guys.
Hi, Pedro.
What does the temperature have to be before you close the retractable stadium roof? Also, is the baseball temp different than the football temp? Yeah, I think football is a little tougher.
Definitely.
A little tougher. But with that being said, like if you have a retractable roof, if it's anything outside of 60 and 80, I'm probably shutting that thing.
Yeah.
You have the retractable roof, right? Now, if you're asking the question, what's comfortable and what's uncomfortable, that depends on the environment. Am I at a football game? I'm pretty much down for whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I'm giving away
Comes with it.
7 Saturdays, through 3.5 hours. Like I'm locked in. I'm probably, drinking some beers before, whatever it might be. I'm locked in. Baseball, I'd really like it. We only get to go to a few Major League Baseball games a year, people here in Omaha. So I'd really like it to be as comfortable as you could possibly get, but that's not the case, considering you're probably going to Kansas City and you're going to be hot, you're going to be full of barbecue, and you're just prepared for it. So I'd like it to preferably not be above 90, but tough ask sometimes.
Every time I see a game at what I call Chase Field, I don't know if it's Chase Field anymore, where the Diamondbacks play.
Yes. You do watch a lot of Diamondbacks games.
If the roof is open, I'm like, oh, I forgot this roof can open.
Yeah. It's pretty much always closed there.
Yeah.
Because it's too hot in April and it's too hot the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Texas, you can pretty much guarantee the roof will be closed for that All-Star game on Tuesday.
Oh, you want pristine conditions.
It'll be like that weird COVID bubble World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Let's check in with Jay Norvell.
Finally.
Former Husker coach Jay Norvell. He's the coach at Colorado State. And here he is talking about, he's got some problems with people offering money in the transfer portal. He's talking about Kansas State coming in and offering his quarterback, Braden Fowler-Nicholisi, some money. We'll let Jay give his take. Here he is.
Braden had the same kind of offers, and you can't, if you have enough evidence, you can prove it, but smoking gun. He said a guy from Kansas State called him, offered him $600,000 because they lost their quarterback. And if he got in the portal. And I'm not accusing Kansas State of anything. I'm just telling you what the kid told me. And so if they don't want their name thrown in it, I think they should probably get a handle on their people. But there's a lot of that going on in college football, and that's just the way things are.
I think we've heard this a lot, Josh. We've heard this a lot. You got people out there offering, people off of our roster.
Generally, it's kept vague.
I am sick of hearing about this now.
Stop complaining about it.
I'm officially sick of hearing about this. First of all, it's happening so much, and I understand the frustration for coaches at programs like Colorado State, right? It's really hard.
Right.
It's really, really hard to keep your roster together. And once Nebraska becomes good, theoretically, they're going to get some guys poached off the roster. That'll happen. People will be really, really triggered about it. But first of all, I'm just generally against complaining. That's number one. That's the thing that's bothering me here, even though I love to complain on this show. But I'm generally against complaining. Second of all, we've seen it all across the world of college athletics, and it's just kind of normal now. Not that that's the right thing, but it is. And so I'm definitely sick about hearing it from that perspective. And third of all, it's not even illegal.
Yeah.
You can, if there is nothing stopping the NCAA right now from a third-party NIL collective, say the NIL collective attached to Kansas State, going to a kid on whatever roster and saying, if you go in the portal, there's this much money available for you. There is literally a court order that says the NCAA can't do anything about it at the moment. I'll read it to you. For the reasons provided herein, plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction is granted. It is hereby ordered that effective immediately, the NCAA, its servants, agents, and employees, and all persons in active concert or participation with the NCAA are restrained and enjoined from enforcing the NCAA interim NIL policy, the NCAA bylaws, or any other authority to the extent such authority prohibits student athletes from negotiating compensation for NIL with any third-party entity, including but not limited to boosters or a collective of boosters, until a full and final decision on the merits in the instant action. It is ordered that effective immediately, the NCAA is restrained and enjoined from enforcing the rule of restitution as applied to the foregoing NIL activities until a full and final decision on the merits of the instant action. So, translation, these guys can negotiate, like, whether you're in the portal, whether you're not in the portal, like, it's not the school that's reaching out to you. This is why there's such a big push to move the NIL in-house, because then it's technically the universities that are reaching out to these things, and then it does become illegal, right? If coaches do it, if coaches go in and poach people off of other people's rosters, that's bad. And I know what you'll see, like the obvious retort here is, well, where do you think the NIL collectives get the idea to go out and offer dudes in the portal who either are or aren't in the portal? Mm-hmm. From the coaches, right? Yeah, but you can't prove it. Sorry, you will never be able to.
It's like, why do so many NBA players sign their free agent deals at 12:01?
Right.
Oh, in 60 seconds you met with the team and signed?
Because we're dealing with human beings, guys. So, like,
tamper.
Also, I appreciate Jay Norvell saying, I'm not accusing them, but here's what they told me.
Here's what they told me.
So
here's everything I know.
As Jeff writes in, I'm not accusing them, but I'm definitely accusing them. It's like, yeah.
Don't put it on the internet that I accused them.
Michael says on the text line,
Hi, Michael.
You can't tamper in the NFL or you lose draft picks. Yeah, but there's tampering. First of all, there is tampering.
There is.
And there's no such structure that exists in college football right now.
Tamper away.
Like,
maybe Nebraska should be tampering.
There's so many people involved. I mean, it happens in college basketball all the time, and we just roll our eyes at it now. It's like, how much did X person get? You know, how much did whatever person who is either thinking about going to the NBA or thinking about coming back and then going into the transfer portal, like, what might that person get on the open market? You don't think they know that before they actually go on to the open market? It's the same thing with any NBA player that's about to be that's about to be a free agent.
Hope this works.
You don't think they know what they're potentially going to get before they actually make themselves a free agent? Yeah, like, there's just, so I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done hearing about it. It'll probably happen in Nebraska, and we'll all be sad around here for a few days.
Why is it got to be like that?
I hate college football.
Games change.
Like, I'm not saying that it's a good thing for the sport. It's certainly not. But, like, this is kind of the way that things are right now.
Used to play for your school. Now you play for your pocketbook.
Exactly. Pocketbook?
Yeah, you call it a pocketbook, you're an old.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. I haven't heard anybody refer to a wallet as a pocketbook in a long time. Poll question: when's the last time you heard anybody refer to the thing they carry their money in as a pocketbook? I don't know how you could make that a poll question, but you could find a way, Josh. Don't worry about it.
That's my job.
Doc writes in.
What's up, Doc?
In today's football, even the good teams are going to have players that are going to get poached. It's just part of the game now. I bet from Alabama or Ohio State have similar situations. Yeah. I mean, Caleb Downs, I mean, I think he went into the portal because there was a coaching change, obviously, but like, yeah, there's movement all the time, and these players have a, pretty complete understanding. Now, there's some people who are, who do it for, like, who want to be at the school that they're at, and they go to their coach like this, and they say, "Hey, coach, just so you know, like, dudes from X school offered me $500,000 to go. Just so you know, like, I'm staying, but I just want you to know.
Just want you to know." What about Caden Proctor? He was zigzagging all over this country.
Yeah, he could have been in any school.
Yeah.
I guess he could have only been at 2, but he showed up at Iowa for 10 seconds and then went back.
Sure felt like it took him a while to make up his mind.
Oh, good question. Before we get out of here, a question from way back earlier in the show, we were talking about grass. Here's a question from Mike. On the Equitable Bank inbox. How's the grass going to affect the state high school playoffs?
Oh.
Could it have
positively?
Could it potentially have that many games in that short period of time?
Okay.
If you were grass boys, and then potentially you had to play a game on Black Friday.
That is something you need to consider now.
It's not something that Nebraska needs to consider. This is from Troy Dannon's brain, right? But like they're thinking this is a Nebraska football place. If we lose the state championship game, so be it. Right? I would imagine that is his theory.
Yeah, I would also imagine like
he probably hasn't thought about it that much.
Class A and Class B are probably pretty safe.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, it'd be the field would look pretty rough on Black Friday if you played 6 games in 2 days, 3 days before the Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Like that it would look pretty rough.
That sounds like a lot. Sounds like too much,
especially in November.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, I think it probably will have an effect on that. Which is a really cool thing for young high school players to be able to play at Memorial Stadium. But,
definitely.
You know, I don't know. Nebraska, I don't know if they should be all that concerned with that. I love high school football, though.
You do.
Don't put it on the internet that I don't love high school football. All right, back after this with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. To the polls.
Polling it.
By the way, we got to mention Amazing Daniel, who visited the 7-Eleven for the express purpose to ask them about their buttered rolls.
And they looked at him like a crazy person.
And through more research, Josh has found out that this is only a thing that happens in New York 7-Eleven.
Seems like it.
So I apologize for my New York elitism.
It's prepackaged. Why not just ship it everywhere?
I don't know. I would ask the same about Entenmann's crumb cakes. Why do they only have those in New York? And people will say,
do they not have the ones here at the grocery store?
No, Josh, because you just said what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
Which is, haven't you seen the Entenmann's corner at the grocery store?
Got their own end cap.
Not the crumb cakes. They do not have the crumb cakes. They have
Okay.
the coffee cakes.
Yeah.
They have the mini crumb cakes. I don't need the mini crumb cakes. I need the whole crumb cake.
Okay.
The big New York style crumb cake. They don't have those. Not in the Midwest.
Okay.
And so last time I was in New York, I went to Costco or whatever it was and bought crumb cakes and brought them back for myself and my father to eat. Also chips. There's only certain chips that they have there as well.
Whoa.
It's really the best part about going to the East Coast. At Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. So thanks, Daniel. Appreciate that. Appreciate your efforts.
Appreciate your work. Enjoy the beach.
Is the new Costco like Nebraska adding Jalen Gramstad?
I think it might be.
You like that?
I think that's the one.
55% say yes. Is the new Costco like Nebraska adding Dylan Raiola?
I'm going to go no here. I think it's more like a Jalen Gramstad.
Very similar response. 56% say yes. So I don't think our research really worked there.
No, it didn't.
Were you interested in kicking any ass last night?
No, I wasn't.
I wasn't either, clearly. Although if I would have been, it would have been available.
The opportunity did present itself.
63% say no. That's good. Do you miss the poop house?
I do.
I do too. 56% say yes. Does a man eating Kalamata olives out of a jar say something about him?
Probably.
Yes.
I have to admit that, yes, it probably does say something about me.
76% say yes. Do you know about the strawberries and cream #Wimbledon strawberry?
Absolutely.
No, I do not. 50-50 on the mark right now. And finally, does anybody call it a pocketbook anymore?
Not a chance.
82% say no. Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We are watching Major League Baseball this weekend, final weekend before the All-Star break. The Cleveland Guardians are in Florida to take on the Tampa Bay Rays on Apple TV tonight. Yankees-Orioles, that kind of seems like the big televised series this weekend. 6 o'clock tonight. 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN Plus. 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on FS1. And, of course, the very coveted 10:35 Sunday morning slot on Roku.
Oh, no. Really? They got stuck with that?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a big game.
But
the
usually
Sunday
it's
morning
like
Roku game.
Usually it's like the fourth biggest game, you know?
Cubs and Cardinals at Busch this weekend. You can watch tonight's game on Apple TV. I'm sure it's on MLB Network throughout the weekend as well. Twins and Giants, Big Fox Saturday night. No Sunday night baseball this weekend because...
Where's Carl?
Carl will be working the 2024 MLB Draft. Rounds 1 and 2 begin Sunday at 4 o'clock on ESPN and MLB Network.
Who gets Cags?
Who gets Condon?
Who gets Bazzana? Who do the Royals get?
We'll find who do the Braves get.
Do they get a future number 4 starter in Hagen Smith from Arkansas? Probably.
Where does Brody Breck go?
Oh, end of the first round, probably.
The NBA, the proper summer league begins tonight in Las Vegas. Doubleheader on ESPN. Bronny James will probably play at 6:30, and then the Hawks and the Wizards at 8:30. I don't know. There's probably some rookies on there that people are excited about watching. It goes all weekend long in Sin City. Trey Alexander plays tonight, NBA TV at 9 o'clock, and then Baylor Shireman tomorrow at 5:30. Also on NBA TV.
Let's go.
WNBA, Caitlin Clark hosts the Phoenix Mercury, her arch rival, 6:30 tonight on Ion. Big ABC has Liberty versus the Sky at noon tomorrow. LA at Dallas, 2:30 Saturday on CBS. And then Caitlin Clark again up in Minnesota, 3 o'clock Sunday on ESPN. Also on ESPN this weekend, 8 a.m. tomorrow, the women's Wimbledon final, which will feature 2 people. And the men's final, 8 a.m. Sunday,
wow,
which will also
have
feature
some respect.
2 people. I am respecting them by not butchering their names.
Okay, good.
Finally, a movie to watch. Twister is on Max. You need to watch it this weekend for next week's
Jurassic Park
Twisters combo. And the big thing you need to watch for over the next hour or 2 is a news dump.
No.
Watch.
No.
Watch for a news dump.
No.
No?
No rumors on this show. Only facts. Only facts.
No gossip.
Only facts.
No gossip.
Nobody told you yesterday that the news was going to drop about Mr. Butler. The Butler did it.
Yeah, no one.
Nobody said that.
No one said that.
Nobody said that. All right. Thank
Sorry,
you,
I
Josh.
didn't mean to rumor monger.
That's what we're watching, and that's the show. If you miss anything, you can find it all. 1620thezone.com. The crossover's next.
News dump.